we should be going.
And welcome back to Oasis Valley Mysteries Monster of the Week campaign. Last time we were together, the was the start of a brand new arc after dealing with or putting to rest the curse of the Kasha. But as the group dealt with some of the aftermath of Dr. Porter and considering his disappearance, the group has been fairly quiet for a week or so until Olivia had to respond to another slain animal, a farm animal, a sheep, discovering that it discovering it near not too far from an active crime scene. It's appeared as she encountered Detective Bentley, learning that possible ties, whatever killed the sheep, may have killed and partially consumed a possible pluripotent employee. After taking the sheep back to the preserve and having it analyzed, the group actually mostly went to the preserve. Carlos had a business conversation with George Lyon while probing about the thylacine cloning project and just speaking, local businessman conversation. And uh, Tommy and Fred had a nice day at the zoo. Nice and peaceful, no incidences, no mongooses or moas aggravated. But the Hanzo, you actually received word from Dr. Guerrero who wanted to meet, although eventually you received another call from him saying that he was unable to make the meeting because he was being taken off the Dr. Porter case due to probing perhaps too far. And then you heard from Detective Bentley, who, in a sign of perhaps trust or good faith, considering your recent work together, uh, directed you to one of the witnesses who rescued a young man who managed to escape the potential threat that killed the pluripotent employee. And at McCorin's scrapyard, you met with Phil, the biker bar owner. Sorry, this is a little convoluted. Biker bar owner at the scrapyard learned that the man was named Ricky Sweet, and that only by sheer coincidence of him actually being a track star, managed to outrun his would-be attacker, suffering a few slashes but thankfully no bites, considering the theories floating around the group. But you investigated the area, found signs of the trail, but then as you were going over the evidence, you realized that Phil's story didn't add up as to why he was out there so late when he himself, when you know for a fact that he lives above his bar, that was good distance away with no reason to be out here this late. And as you start to have that thought, as the sun set, the you saw the wall of the scrapyard as something large and inhuman slipped over the tall fence through a gap in the barbed wire. That's where we left off as the sun sets. Someone okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. This asthma's hitting me a bit today.
I blame the French.
I also blame the French.
What did alternative history Napoleon say when he was being drawn and quartered? Help, I'm Napoleon torn aparte.
Damn it.
If I wouldn't disconnect all the rest of you from talking, I would leave.
Sorry. Sorry, there was someone was making Napoleon puns earlier and that one stuck out. Anyways. So, Hanzo.
Mm-hmm.
You had just gotten out of your vehicle to go investigate another detail was that as you were waiting, you hadn't seen Phil return because he had left earlier in the day, but you did see arriving two people, a man and a woman, who were greeted by what was her name? The owner of the scrapyard. Scrolling. Denise. As they were, and they went inside before the sunset, and that's right around the time you saw the shape slipping into the scrapyard.
Yeah, he's got his gun drawn. He is sleuthing.
You saw them go into the the building where it's like the offices slash. Denise said she lived above it.
Mm-hmm.
Were you going to go there or into the scrapyard itself? You would have to pass by that to get in, or unless you wanted to try climbing the fence where you saw the figure. Or however other choices.
When I was, I can't remember. When I was casing the joint earlier, was I able to determine, or could I be, like as a small retcon, been able to determine if there were any holes in that fence?
Sure. Yeah, when you were there, you might have also, since you've been waiting there for most of the day by now.
Yeah.
So you would have had that chance. It's a very large lot. It's a large scrapyard. It's not like trash. It's not a landfill. This is very specifically mechanical stuff like cars, old machinery. You saw, like through the fence, you saw what looked to be like a small pyramid of what looked to be maybe like washing machines.
Mm-hmm.
And, but there weren't really that many gaps there weren't gaps in the fence. There was a pretty thick fence, and there was actually the kind of chain link that has cloth material in it so you couldn't really see into it that clearly. But yeah, it was that one spot that you saw that figure go. That was one of the few spots where the barbed wire seemed to be missing.
All right, he will climb after that then.
And since Hanzo, you're an active guy, I won't make you roll for that. That's not too difficult, as you find purchase. Definitely not the first time you've had to climb over a chain link fence.
Mm-hmm.
But you actually, when you get over the side, you get to the top, you see that almost conveniently, there's like stacks of they're the compressed cubes of like a trash compactor stacked up in a way that you can very easily step down, or someone could climb it to get over the fence from this side.
Excellent. All right. Was I able to find where this thing was, what direction it went in this junkyard?
No, once it slipped in, you lost sight of it because you were parked across the road.
What was the ground like? Dusty?
Yeah, it's mostly hard-packed dirt. And like as you're standing there at the top of this little tower or this mound, you're like looking around. It really does look like a very kind of stereotypical scrapyard. There's piles of cars in various crushed states stacked on top of each other. There's, like I said, there's like a small, maybe on purpose stacked up pyramid of dishwashers, laundry washers, and dryers, just all in this almost pyramid shape. There's a bunch of just other junk. But as you're looking around, you actually notice that there's a front, more closer towards the front, you start seeing sculptures, like scrap sculptures that have been welded together. You see a tree made out of or like a palm tree made out of the leaf springs of cars or trucks. You see some chairs made out of made out of car parts. And actually near the, you actually saw it when you went in, and earlier in detail I completely forgot to add or mention until I was looking at my notes later. Uh, by the front of it, there's actually a robot. It almost looks like a robot or a humanoid sculpture standing about 10 feet tall, and it looks to be like a humanoid boiler steam train robot, like Wild West looking robot thing constructed out of what looked to be like an old industrial boiler, standing there with a cow catcher across its chest and just this dark iron sentinel almost. And it was almost kind of the centerpice of this little thing that you briefly glimpsed when you
it seems to be a real art installation, but I won't pay it too much mind. I might have otherwise admired it, but there's a fucking monster on the loose.
Yeah, I just wanted to set the scene a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, even from up there with your high ground advantage viewpoint, there's so many things stacked up in rows of just junk cars and such that it would be very easy for something to hide in there.
Yeah, he is slowly creeping along. He doesn't want to go rushing in and potentially get whacked.
I want you to do a read a bad situation.
Ready?
86 plus sharp, unless you have a professional move, which I think you might, because I think Isaac does.
That would be a 7.
7. So you get a hold of 1.
Mm-hmm.
You are already in, so best way. You already know the best way in, best way out would be the way you got in already. Any dangers you haven't noticed yet? What's the biggest threat? What's most vulnerable? What's the best way to protect the victims?
What I haven't yet noticed.
Dangers you haven't noticed yet. As you start creeping along, you glance over at the office area, or the office building, where you see the lights turn on from inside, and you hear what sounds like music, maybe like muffled through the through the walls from the distance. But as you look back towards the junkyard, you're going along and you have your gun out, and there's a moment where you're passing through by this stack of cars. As you glance through a gap in them, through to another aisle, basically, as you see something shift on all fours, furred. You see just this glimpse of fur in the rising moonlight, sandy colored. And there's a moment where, as you stop and your foot scuffs some of the dirt, it pauses and lifts its head, and there's a brief moment where you make eye contact with a pair of eye shines. But then it like kind of glances around. You realize it might not see you through this gap before it turns around, looking around as if perhaps it heard something. Large
It definitely
ears,
knows I'm here.
Yeah, it heard something, but it didn't spot you exactly. Because a 7, that's the minimal you can get without failing. So,
of course, getting down and out of sight from that little gap.
Vaguely canine, the way the ears looked and the way the eye shine was.
Bending down so he's out of sight from that little gap. He looks around, and I'm sure there's plenty of small, like, can fit in hand loose scrap.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, he'll gently pick
like
one
a
up.
Car spring or something.
Yeah, he'll gently pick one up, kind of testing its weight a little bit in his hand, before chucking it towards the direction of the fence.
Are you aiming towards like closer to where you came from, or just a random portion of fence? There's not really a map to worry
Yeah.
about. It's just for narrative.
It's just theater of mind. Closer to the from where I came from might be more believable for this thing. It heard something.
So I want you to do an act under pressure.
Sure thing.
Again, unless you have a specific move that might be, situationally appropriate.
Let me check that actually. Just a straight roll. Another 7.
7.
Worse outcome, hard choice, price to pay. So lay it on me,
I'm
boss.
trying to decide which one to give you, and I think I'm going to give you a worse outcome. Because as you heft up this thing and you chuck it, you aim where you were going for, but then you realize maybe you should have aimed. Well, you couldn't really see where you were aiming exactly because you suddenly hear glass break as you realize you might have hit one of the windows of a car that was closer over there.
Mm-hmm.
As you hear the music suddenly cut off, the muffled thumping of the music from the thing cut off as and then a minute later, or not even a minute later, you hear what sounds like a window opening, and you hear a voice go, "All right, I heard that. Who's out there? Coming out." And then as you glance back, you start seeing the shape start slinking in that same direction. So you distracted it, but you've also gained the attention of Denise, it seems. Because that was her voice calling out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I clearly want to warn her that there's that this situation is dangerous, and I would prefer that the monster focused upon me. So, I'm going to bank on her natural instinct to get the fuck out of Dodge by firing just, at nothing in particular, just firing my gun.
All right.
I mean, that'll get most people's attention, yeah. And I gotta get out of here way.
Yeah, most people tend to fucking flinch or at least seek cover.
Yeah.
It's then
So are you
Hanzo.
trying to intimidate the creature or Denise?
I want Denise to know that she is in danger, and I'm hoping that the sound of the gunshot will attract the creature to me.
Okay. So...
Unfortunately, you fail to notice Denise's "Don't Tread on Me" bumper sticker, as well as her right to carry permit, which she carries in her pocket. She's been waiting for this day.
Oh my
Don't you
fucking
do
God.
that to her.
Don't you do
dare
that
you.
to her, yeah.
That would be a worse outcome, though.
I'm shot dead.
Oh no!
If only I noticed her Punisher logo phone.
No!
God.
That's harsh, even for you.
I'm trying to think what would be the appropriate thing for that. I guess act under pressure again?
Will do, boss.
Will it be a third 7?
We shall see. 14.
It's
my
a double
God.
7.
It's a double 7.
That's almost crit. It's almost the max you can possibly roll.
Yeah. So, you set out what you want to do. Do you have advanced act
I
under
do
pressure
not.
yet? Okay. So, you fire off into the scrapyard, hoping that there's nothing else slinking around or anyone else in the scrapyard, but you hear your bullet ricochet off of, well, the bullets ricochet off of some of the metallic surfaces. As you hear from inside, in the distance, the office, well, it's not that far actually, you hear Denise's voice again go, "Oh, fuck." And you hear the window slam shut. But then in the as your ears stop ringing from the shots, you hear this threatening growl, menacingly, as you look up, and perched up on top of on the stacks of scrap, you see, almost silhouetted by the nearly completely full moon, this dark furred figure hunched down on all fours, but clearly you see this figure almost rise up on two legs, clawed hands curled in aggressive stance, as you see this almost lupine figure standing above you. But because it is backlit by the moon, you can't quite get the details, as you hear a voice growl out, "That was a mistake." And we're going to cut there for a moment.
Excellent. Perfect. I was actually going to suggest that.
Back to the preserve where everyone else has been. You have been going. You went and talked to Dr. Lucia, right? I think was the last thing you did, Olivia.
I think so. I think
Anyway,
everyone had gathered. Huh? Sorry.
I'm not a Luddite by any means, but ice cream of the future, my ass. Fucking Dippin' Dots.
Yeah, I give it like 20 years tops.
Yeah, I think they were doing that. I talked to Lucia I think Fred with Winifred was there.
I think so.
Yeah. So this would be after that talk, and I think everyone. Thank you, Fred. You are all at the little cafeteria area, having a snack, I guess, or I guess dinner, since it would be about that time. And
roll my eyes.
Lucia, Dr. Lucia, she told you, Olivia, considering the time, everyone can, make use of the cafeteria, no charge. Although the cafeteria doesn't really charge, but this is like the employee cafeteria, so you don't have to go do the small little concessions stand they actually do have on the preserve on weekdays like this. So yes, you got your Dippin' Dots, Fred.
Yeah, they're not bad, but I wouldn't really give them up.
Icy disappointment.
Yeah, they're not bad, but I wouldn't give up regular ice cream for them.
The only good flavor is the rainbow flavor.
Winifred's just sitting there with the bitchiest face you've ever seen. You don't say, huh?
Yes.
The blood Dippin' Dots are truly vile.
Unfortunately, the preserve doesn't have the vampire-friendly ice cream that definitely exists.
How dare.
Wait, really? The preserve doesn't have that?
Well, it's a specialty thing.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
It's something that, Carlos, you've been looking into ordering, but it is kind of like it's kind of a novelty thing, and it is kind of pricey.
It's stupid expensive. I don't blame him.
Also, there was the time with the sloth bear. It found the blood ice cream. It took 3 days to find that bastard down.
Got a taste for mammal blood.
Every vampire deserves the chance to experience brain freeze.
Gosh, it's like $15 almost a carton. Can you imagine? Imagine if normal ice cream was like $15 a carton.
Discontented grumbling.
I said this in the past because of reasons. Don't bring me back to the future.
Mm-hmm. Are you proud of that joke you made?
Yes. Next question.
It's fine. So everyone's there, and there's a moment where kind of uncharacteristically pushed, like barging in to this small little cafeteria eatery area, the break room. You see Dr. Lucia again, and she looks around and she goes, "Okay, sorry, I'm blanking. My brain, not Dr. Lucia. Hold on, I need to do a mini reboot." Okay, Dr. Lucia barges in, kind of frantically looks around, and you see she does have like one of the very clunky laptops that they have at the preserve. And she's like spots your group and hurries over. She goes, "Okay, Olivia, good, you're all here. This is wow. Look what we just got sent to us by the Game and Fish department." And she sits down, puts down the laptop, flips it open, and wakes it up. She's like, "Okay, hold on. It takes a minute for her to wake up after it's like tapping the space bar to get it, spin up." And then finally, the screen comes to life, and she's like, "Okay, everyone," and she turns it so everyone can watch it, and she goes, "Just got this trail cam video sent to us, and I think you're going to be interested in this one. This is yeah." And she kind of looks around to make sure there's not really anyone else watching.
And wider.
And she plays it, and it is a. Oh, geez, I am sorry. That snuck up on me. The video starts playing. It's that grainy black and white that trail cams use since they can't use lights. But it looks to be a trail cam out in the desert. You see, like, the saguaro cactus nearby. There's a Joshua tree. But you see something lurching, like a figure start lumbering into frame, dragging something behind it. But then as it nears the center of the screen, the flash goes off as all of a sudden illuminated in still kind of fuzzy black and white, but rather stark and undeniable. You see a figure standing on two legs, hunched forward with a neck so thick it almost looks like the head is coming out of the shoulders itself, as it has a hunch forward, two large arms ending in large mitts that have one hand is wrapped around the leg of what looks to be a bighorn sheep being dragged behind it, as this thing, startled by the camera, looks to the camera and yawns a mouth wider than 90 degrees, narrow profile, very familiar stripes across its back, as you see, undeniably, a humanoid thylacine screaming at being suddenly surprised by a flashing light. And then it dashes off into the darkness, and that is just the clip. A short little, 30-second video.
I fucking knew it.
She goes back and pauses it on the frame of it screaming, illuminated by the light. She goes, "Well,
it's a pretty weird dog."
Fucking knew it.
And you actually see, with the lights on, it's wearing pants, like a pair of jeans that have been tattered around the hems that stop around the knees, but clearly wearing clothing. And there's a thin, narrow tail, and she's pointing at it. She goes, "Looks like a hybrid of human and thylacine. I'm not gonna kid you."
At least he's decent.
Knew it.
What was that, Tony?
At least he's decent.
Lucia laughs at that. She goes, "Yeah."
Yeah. That's a fair point, Tommy. I actually hadn't thought about that. Look at that. That's a thylacine.
Mm-hmm.
As you're watching this, you start hearing the volume rise up on your cassette player, and once again, Bad Moon Rising is playing on your headphones.
Hmm.
And
That's a weird thylacine.
Lucia she points at the date, and it's from like 2 days ago.
Huh.
She goes, apparently the Game and Fish department, they only just got to, getting to this footage, and when they saw this, they immediately sent it to us because they're just as confused as I am. Well, maybe not as confused, but they're concerned.
That's fair.
And she goes,
Understandable.
this one was out in the middle of the desert, outside of town, not close to it at least. Because bighorn sheep like the one that was being dragged, they don't really come close to town. They're closer to the mountains or the hills.
Mm-hmm. True.
So, fun fact: in certain areas, they are considered more dangerous than mountain lions because they will literally charge people off of the hiking trails.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Like
Yeah.
that's just something you got to watch out for when hiking around Phoenix area, or
Yeah.
Arizona areas.
A predator will attack you if it thinks you are a threat, or wants to eat or whatever. But a lot of times, herbivores are just not gonna give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yep.
It's like, I will end your ass.
Which, I mean, makes total sense why the Ninja Turtles always had Triceratons as the fascist imperialist alien species.
Well, I mean, compared to a lot of predators, it would kind of make sense that naturally social animals are more likely to build civilization.
Yeah. But
So again, we're omnivores.
Looking at the she kind of looks back to the rest of you. She's like, so where thylacine?
Where thylacine?
There's potentially a where thylacine, potentially a mad science experiment gone wrong.
Come on. No, okay, no. You're
I forget
right.
where we ended up. Did we definitively prove werewolves don't exist last time?
We did not.
All right.
I mean, she kind of nods to Carl. She goes, I mean, there is a chance this could be a very illegal hybridization attempt that succeeded.
It is, but if it talks like a duck, looks like a duck, and stands like a man and has the mouth of a thylacine, scientific experiment or not, it's a were thylacine.
Don't forget.
And look at his hands, and you see the hand not grabbing the sheep. Very human it's very human in its composition. She goes, that's definitely not a hybrid of bear or something.
Well, yeah, no,
bear.
it's
Ooh.
it's. If I had to take a self-stabbing guess, given that the genetic samples we got that were a little not just human in thylacine, but some other stuff too.
Fucking weird.
I would take a gander and say that this is some scientist off in the mountains going weird hybridization experiments, ran out of test subjects, and used the best one around themselves.
It's
That's
like what happened with
that's
the
a jump.
Soviets and the chimpanzees.
I
That's
was
a
thinking.
jump.
So was the thing we ran out into the desert strung together that was also made by a mad scientist hiding in the mountains.
Yeah, but jumping from this, this could be a hybrid or something too. Oh, this is a mad scientist in the mountains who turned himself into a monsters. But it feels like a bit of extrapolation. Possible, sure, but...
And werewolf doesn't feel weird to you?
We're sitting at the table with a vampire.
Yeah, but that's a medical condition.
Ooh.
Damn.
Oh my god. She like actually looks like holy shit. Like that's
It's like-
super fucking
So if I'm recalling correctly, how vampires are currently slung in the campaign, at least to the public, is that vampirism is a type of medical condition. Or like a genetic birth thing. And that might be Grace in remembering it.
Yeah, it is believed to be tied to genetics, and there are still a bunch of theories, and it is being currently investigated.
What if
Yes.
werewolfism's just a currently unknown medical condition?
yeah, that's a really fucked up thing to say about vampires.
How does the
It's
vampire feel about that?
Yeah.
She's just sitting there with this fucking look on her face that you can't really interpret.
Sitting there menacingly.
Still
Carlo-
looking like I still haven't been to bed yet.
Carlos is like, look, I might be a con man. I might be a fellow who is like an industrial capitalist who funds a
con man?
ride in a restaurant. Don't ignore that part. Ignore that part.
No,
But
guess on
like,
that one.
Yeah, no, not ignoring it.
like werewolf would be one thing, but you're talking about a were-thylacine, which is like an animal that A, up until like 20 years ago was extinct. There were none, and B, isn't native to this half of the globe.
Okay, but it's only a thylacine half of the time. Also, I was looking up werewolves, and according to Fangoria magazine,
Oh, God.
in 1987, they made a sequel to The Howling called The Howling 3: The Marsupials, and it was about Tasmanian werewolves. So,
Fred.
a
Fred,
you know-
Tasmanian werewolf could, in human form, travel over here to learn about our culture and ways, fall in love with the unique environment of Arizona, and decide to live here for a bit. In total secrecy.
Lucia kind of goes, I'm not really. I mean,
I'm inclined to think mad scientist who's messing with genetics, as we are sitting in the genetic science hotbed of the entire globe.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's not
Lucia
possible.
does
I
pipe
feel
up.
like
She goes, I mean, this environment's not too different from where a lot of thylacines roam. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's essentially Australia.
Man, yeah, I guess if you were going to go somewhere in the U.S. from Australia that's similar enough, this isn't a bad pick.
Lucia laughs and she goes, I mean, my own family was originally from Australia before we relocated here for
Oh
the
my
tube
God.
organism.
Wait, what?
That's
Yeah, you know
fair
this.
enough.
I do.
Fair
Okay, I
enough.
do. Oh yeah, I just.
Clara
We
Bowden,
are.
She goes,
The land down under.
Grandpa Fossick, when he moved to, Grandpa Fossick, back when it was still in his company, it wasn't pluripotent. It was just an agricultural company. You know, did farming stuff in Australia. Dug a lot of wells and stuff, for aquifers. So, kind of why he was picked up, or why Dad was picked up and all that.
Also, Carlos.
In any kind of a situation, that's fucked up and shouldn't be there, so we should go find it. And Carlos is making direct, hard eye-line contact with Olivia, and the kind of, if you don't shut up now, I'm going to do something drastic.
Oh, you're the.
It is the there is no kindness mode. He is not saying anything. It is just that look in his eyes. We need to go find this thing.
Carlos suddenly very desperately wishes he was telepathic in this moment.
There are many things Carlos wishes.
This
I
is
know you-
my job. You can stay the fuck here.
And that's worked how well?
I'm fine.
No, I meant the me staying here part. He says as he's getting up.
Do what you want.
Mom, Dad, quit fighting.
Really?
Lucy
Really?
actually-
You're older than I am.
So it
Yeah.
turns out Blockbuster
Actually-
has the Howling series, and I do have a membership still. It's one of the few things I kept in the divorce, so I rented all of the Howling movies to prepare for this.
Wait,
So if anyone
we
wants to
found out
binge
about
them,
this today. We found out about this
I've been
today,
talking
Fred.
about werewolves for days.
Yeah,
It's
he's
been a
like,
week. It's been over a week since you found the first two.
I have been on about werewolves existing
I mean,
possibly
I'm
for a
with
very
you.
long time at this point.
I have been with you on that, Fred.
Binging, like finding all those back issues of Fangoria magazine was a very interesting trip to the library, and then to the comic book store.
All right, Fred, come on.
Well, that's one aspect of '90s life I can't believe I completely forgot. There is totally a kick-ass comic book store in Redemption.
Oh hell yeah! Winifred, are you coming?
I'm gonna regret it.
Or do you want to go
yeah.
get some rest? I mean, do you want to go get some rest first?
She just looks at you and goes, "You want me to leave you alone when it's possible
You know-
that there's a fucking werebeast roaming around?"
I mean, if you're fucking exhausted, I'd rather you not be. If that's gonna hurt,
I
if
was
that's gonna.
going to say that because time for this in-game day has been like wibbly wobbly, and the group has been at the preserve for a couple of hours now. Winifred, you could have found like a closet or like something to hang from the ceiling and sleep if you wanted.
I'll be fine.
I don't know if that's how Winifred sleeps, but there are like rooms for like people to catch to sleep in, because I think Fred even took a nap in a previous session.
I did.
Okay. If she's gotten sleep, then it's fine. Just was like, "Are you sure you're okay?"
Yeah, because I don't want to, like, just as a keeper, I don't want to hamstring a person's character just because they have a silly little thing such as a sleep schedule to hold them back, unless it becomes like a plot point, because then
Okay, yeah, no,
I'll totally
that's
throw
fair.
a
But in
dream demon
character,
at you
she's like,
later.
"Are you okay for this?"
And she just kind of like looks at you and goes, "Nothing is going to prevent me." And she's looking at you very seriously when she says this next line.
Mhm.
"From potentially punching a werewolf in the face."
Nods. An
Oh,
understanding.
you know what we'll need to do? We'll need to get some silver knuckles, like brass knuckles, but silver.
Hey, it's always possible this could end without.
Dr. Lucia's like, so, you're all set on going and hunting down a.
If
I
it's
just want to
sentient,
understand this so that I can prepare
Sapient.
for possible injuries we can expect and possible chances to study if this is like a.
Hey, listen, this
viral
time we're gonna be
transfer thing.
super safe. Because if it is a werewolf, if it just scratches one of us, then we're a werewolf. And then I gotta get someone to chain me up every month, and that feels like that's
we don't-
unlocking some doors I'm not prepared to unlock yet in my life.
We don't know how this works yet,
That's what-
Fred.
Oh god, I just had a horrible joke pop into mind, and there's no say it. It's just Fred saying that. Just someone pops in. That's why your wife left you. You weren't ready to explore that.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh,
It was a bad one.
I thought
That's
I was.
why-
No, it's pretty sure it's the career thing.
Yeah. No, that was a mean
No,
joke. I'm
that
sorry.
was a great joke to make at Fred's expense. I appreciate it. I also appreciate the fun challenge that I've made for myself of trying to justify making references I know that a person without the internet who's not a horror geek wouldn't know. And then just figuring out how to make it make sense with my knowledge of living in the 90s. That's been fun.
Yeah, I think we even said one of your kids is an anime nerd and your other kid is a horror nerd or horror fan. Or it might have been the same kid. Anime nerds and horror fans kind of go together.
They do.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Lucy is like, okay, I know I can't really. The only one I can like legit order if I knew I could even if that would even work is Livia here. So just
I mean, this is a
try to be
dangerous
safe.
animal.
Good luck.
It's still my job.
Yes, and I am very curious to learn about this because, I mean,
We can't-
okay. Full
we
disclosure,
can't put
this
a
is why I'm
werewolf
letting
in
you
the
do this
zoo.
because I want answers too.
I'm
She kinda
not
lowers
looking to
her
put
voice
it in
to
a
say that,
zoo,
Olivia.
Fred. Jesus. If this is a person, I want to know what's up with this person. And
Yeah,
why they might
Fred.
have killed somebody.
All right, just so we're clear, we're not putting the werewolf in a zoo, no matter what,
Oh
Oh.
no.
no matter how much it begs.
What?
Mm.
Fred, what?
Lucia makes that Marge Simpson grumble like I don't like that.
yeah, this feels like I'm like concerned. What?
Tommy just pats Fred on the back. I think you have some things to look into, some self-reflection to do, man.
No, whenever I do that, it gets really depressing.
Aw. Hey, we're
They got
going.
bombs for that.
And Lucia did point out, I should have mentioned this, the footage, the trail cam, was on the same side of town as the attack.
Of course. I mean, makes sense. We're headed
Which is the same
that way,
side of
then.
town that vaguely Carlos's diner is on.
Well, we're headed that way then.
All right. And if we turn up Bupkis, who's coming back to my place to watch The Howling 4?
Fine.
If it's anything like the last three, it'll be bad.
Then why do you want to watch it?
Well, I gotta learn about werewolves. And they didn't have American Werewolf in London in stock.
I mean, we're. Well,
I remember seeing that one and thinking it was gonna be funny, like the movie with the Blues Brothers. It wasn't funny that way. It's about a man whose life falls apart.
Oh.
Progressively worse.
Oh no!
Eventually gets the woman who loves him to shoot him in the face.
My God!
The Howling's just about werewolf sex and murder. And despite me describing it that way, it's not good.
Is it? Are the werewolves part of the sex or the murder?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they're horny werewolves and they're horny for murder.
These
Get horny
werewolves.
after murder.
You know, I think I still prefer the one of Lon Chaney. You know, and that one his head is stoved in by his father, and that feels a little bit less. That stings a little bit less. Yeah.
Anyway, we're going. This conversation has gotten
That
very
looks
sad
so
again.
out of place, seeing a moose in a desert.
It's New Mexico.
Oh, hey, it's Bambaros. Good for him. Finding work after Iceborne.
There is no place the moose belongs.
Oh God!
That
what if
means there
that's
is no
like
place the
source
moose
of
does
the-
not belong.
You know those like cryptids where it's like, okay, there's reports of an animal being seen way out of its natural habitat. You know, like the mooses down in New Zealand. What if that's in universe just vampires that move to new locations still retaining their old shape-shifting forms. The Canadian vampire moves to New Mexico, but their forms are like
Actually,
moose.
yeah,
beaver.
that does bring an interesting idea. If you subscribe to the little tidbit of folklore that vampires must sleep in the soil of their homeland, maybe that has something to do with the forms they can choose.
Mhm.
So yeah, like you're fucking Canadian vampire. You have Canadian dirt. What lives in Canadian dirt? Moose.
I mean, we do have at least one example through Winifred being local wildlife.
Yeah, it doesn't apply to this one. I don't think. I just think that's. Never thought
Stop!
of it
You're
that way.
making me want to kill off Fred and make a vampire.
Canadian vampire.
Macula.
Oh no.
No, macula.
No, the French Canadian
No.
vampire. No,
You're making me want to make a good vampire, not macula.
Monsieur Macula.
I mean, you probably should.
I love vampires. Stop making me want to be a vampire.
We'll turn Fred into
so-
a vampire.
Moose
Fine.
Wolverine
Where
and
is everybody going?
Well, now I gotta suck the blood out of people to live. Ah, jeez.
Just like working at the DMV.
Well, here I go killing again.
So, fuck. So, do we have a rough idea where Hanzo is headed? By any chance?
Yeah, actually, Olivia, you talked to him not long ago. Actually, that's right. You called him on his car phone, or he called you
Yeah.
because the radios were out of range.
Didn't we?
I can't remember. Hanzo, did you tell her where you were at? I think you said the scrapyard. Yeah. You were-
Yeah.
Is that on the right side of town? The scrapyard?
Yeah, it's on the same. I seriously did mean to make a map, but events happened that distracted me, such as Baldur's Gate and among other things. So,
That's fair.
That's
Hey,
fair and valid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
we
had to do my
wanna-
normal voice. That's fair and valid.
Do we want to stop by, go check on Hanzo, see if he wants to come with us, or he was staking out a place?
Yeah, I want to go get a check on him. Since we have visual evidence of what it is, the fact he's alone is probably not a good thing.
I mean, what could go wrong? What could go wrong?
Scene transition.
No!
So, as you all
CD!
get into your various vehicles to start heading towards the scrapyard, yes?
What?
Is that the general plan for everybody?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, as you start heading across, as we cut with Tommy going, what could go wrong? Hanzo, you see this
He's seen what can go wrong.
canine hybrid figure standing on top of the stack of crushed cars, telling you should not have done that. As you see, it's just fur bristling, like the hackles of a dog rising in aggression. What do you do?
Yeah. I am returning the expression of malice with a very hard, stern stare, gun clearly in hand, muscles coiled, ready to spring into action. But right now, it's just a good old Arizona standoff. Remind me, yeah, you said it was the moon. It was like midnight snacking,
It
are
had
we?
risen just enough that it was backlighting it, just because that's a cool visual, and that it was hard for you to make out too many details of it. But it is, yeah, it's like, yeah, I said it was like maybe a bit after sunset.
Yeah,
The sky's still more purple than black.
alrighty.
And
Bit late
also,
for-
just a reminder, because I listened to it. Tonight is Thursday night. and it is 2 days from the full moon, like the official full moon on Saturday.
All right. So to respond, bit late to have a snack.
Early for suits to be robbing a junkyard. There's like audible confusion in this gruff voice as are just staring you down as they go, "Leave if you want to live."
I'll be perfectly willing to leave if I know for a fact that you aren't going to hurt those people.
You know what? They don't seem to appreciate that answer, as they're
Mhm.
going to leap down and swing at your hand. Try to knock the gun out of your hand.
Alrighty.
Act under pressure, because they're trying to. Or how do you respond to them doing this? Like, you can try to kick some ass to fight back, or act under pressure to escape. What do you wanna do? It's up to you.
I don't want to quite registering the look of confusion. I immediately changed gears from I need to fight this thing immediately to just maintain distance until I know more. And that is a
Okay, so
14.
Okay, dang. For an act under pressure.
Mhm.
So you jump back as this thing swipes at empty air as it lands, and now that it's closer, you realize this thing is taller than you are as they stand back up and snap a short snout, very sharp teeth, canine ears flicking back as these bright golden eyes in the moonlight glare at you, as there's a stretched shirt across their torso, like just barely holding in this just massive muscle and fur, as they growl at you, as you see not a werewolf, but if you had to guess, a were-coyote, as they, just from the coloration, because you've been here long enough to recognize what a coyote, you've seen them running around the streets late at night or rushing across the roads to recognize them. But then as it tries swiping at you again in frustration, you hear a door bang open as if it was kicked open, and you hear a voice. Denise is again go, "Don't worry, I'm coming." As you hear not one but two footsteps or sets of running feet come charging, but then there's also like a weird screech that you hear pierce through the night.
Eyes quickly dart, like a strange screech, as in something that does not sound human.
It sounds human before it splits into something almost avian.
But it's not the thing in front of me.
No, but they don't seem to react to that in alarm.
It's like, I don't want to hurt you if I don't have to. But the point is like, but as it stands, it's like there's people dead, and I met a very, very scared kid who giving me a description that kind of sounded like you.
They bare their teeth and snap, and they go, It wasn't me. Wasn't any of us. And then you hear the metal creak as well. First, you hear like a fluttering of flapping of large wings of feathered wings, not leathery like you've heard with the chupacabras, and something creak in the metal as something heavy lands. I look up, and perched behind you, a humanoid, again humanoid, but monstrous in appearance, as instead of arms, they had these pair of large black wings, still shifting as the bone and flesh warp and twist as you see more feathers burst out from beneath the skin. And you look up into a face that is the flesh tearing away from a large beak piercing through the flesh as you see what you would guess a were-crow or were-raven hunched above you, tearing away the skin of its face as you realize and from the vest it's wearing, you recognize this is perhaps that blonde human man that you saw show up and be greeted by Denise. And getting to a stop around in the aisle, you see Denise herself run around with a shotgun in hand and level it at you, and she goes, "Okay, Hanzo, I don't know what the fuck you're doing back here, but you really gotta explaining."
She doesn't seem startled at all by the creatures, does she?
Nope.
Very slowly putting his hands up, clearly, puts the gun in safety mode, sets it down. It appears I don't have all the information.
Yeah, the fuck you don't. And that was the were-coyote saying that, snarling at you still. But now that you've put the gun down, you realize that you get a better look. It's feminine in form, if very muscular and large, as she steps back but still keeps those intensely golden eyes just trained on you.
You'll look to Denise. I made a snap judgment. I believed you were in danger. I fired the gunshot in order to scare you into cover.
I think that would be a manipulate someone, because you are trying to convince them.
Could you give me a moment? Someone's talking to me.
Yeah, no worries. So, that's a plot twist, huh? Silence is
But this
deafening and damning.
time, no. It is a plot twist.
That is a plot twist.
Yeah.
So we have a were-coyote.
I wasn't expecting Hanzo to barge into the scrapyard so soon, so getting a reveal kind of early.
I feel your pain.
Oh no, this was a route I was definitely expecting.
So it is werewolves.
I still think the were-thylacine is a mad science experiment, and the werewolves are like the proxy oopsie-doopsies. Bamboozle you.
Would your magic really lie about that, though? Would it really?
Bad Moon Rising is playing. I do not control the magic box. The magic box controls itself.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back.
And that was a 9 on the manipulate someone. They'll do it, but only if you do something for them right now to show you mean it. I have placed down the gun, but I'm willing to make further concessions.
Yeah. What are you willing to do to truly prove your willingness to be your commitment to being peaceful.
He's got his hands up already. He's placed the gun down on the ground. I suppose he could like push the gun away from his foot, to make it even more clear that he's not going to go for it.
Okay, so you kick it over to one of them.
Yeah.
Okay. And the where Coyote is the closest one to you. So she kind of the ears, which were still back with the aggression, kind of flit forward in confusion before she bends down and picks up the gun. Not, grabs it by the barrel, so she's not like really. She's not. You get. But then, like, when you see her pick it up, it's like she's not picking it up to use it. But then you realize, the gun might be undersized for fingers like that. Because
I was just thinking of that.
Because
might not be able to fire it anyways.
Yeah. You see this where Coyote, she would not be able to use the. Oh, you missed so much, Olivia.
Oh fuck.
So, placing his hands on his behind the back of his head, then, in a sort of a display of surrender, he's like, and he addressing the were-coyote. Apologies for the misunderstanding, miss.
There's like a huff, like what a dog does when they're frustrated.
Oh, I know very well. My dog is a master of the harumph.
Yeah, and she goes, and she doesn't reply to that, but she looks past you to where Denise is, who has lowered the shotgun, no longer aiming it at you, but still holding it in her hand, or in her hands.
Of course.
And Denise is like, so we got something of a problem now, Mr. Pluripotent Agent. I don't think we're going anywhere until we can decide how we're going to proceed with this. And up above you, there's that creak of metal as you that were-raven or the were-crow shifting above as they tilt their head to the side. It's weird. While they are black feathered everywhere else, while they were like blonde in their human form, their feathers on their head, it's almost like a piebald raven where the head is like these golden feathers, similar to his blonde hair. And snaps the beak and just very roughly, voice that sounds very much like when you hear a raven mimicking human speech, but even more eerie, if you could even believe that. If you tell your bosses, they will hunt us and kill us. How do we know that isn't kill us for study? How do we know that's not why you're here?
Because currently, my employers do not care for my approach to protecting this town. I am here of my own volition as a concerned citizen. And you may not believe me, but in some of my previous assignments, it's like I have kept information from my superiors in order to protect people. I'm not sure they would actually know about it, but maybe they heard about the news. Are you aware of the Karada family?
And Denise kind of squints and thought for a moment before you hear the were-coyote go, yeah, they were the victims of that of those bikers last week. Heard that on the news.
I am not going to violate the confidentiality of the people involved, but let's just say that situation was much more complicated and a lot more supernatural than the news would like to believe.
And Denise kind of frowns and she goes, "Yeah, I would expect so. Is the fucking Efreet, right?"
Kasha.
Oh.
You remember the Efreet was what Sue said they called it back in her day in the 70s.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's how he responds. It's like,
Gotcha. And she kind of squints for a moment. She goes, "Oh, from Japan. Oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense." As you just suddenly you see this woman with a look as she slings the shotgun on like her shoulder just casually. She's like, you see this look of someone who's like realizing a problem from long ago just suddenly falls into place and just makes sense. And she's like, "Oh, huh, yeah, that would be closer to that than an Efreet. Yeah. Okay then."
you operate on what
At
you
least
know, as I have done here. I mean you no harm.
Okay. How about we go inside and talk? It's a bit more comfortable in there.
Thank you.
And she looks up and she goes, "Magnus, you can get down. I think he'll behave himself." And you hear the raven give a squawk before they turn and flap off. Kind of not very gracefully, but they're still able to maintain flight. It seems as they glide over towards the office. And
Someone who's capable of flight but doesn't have the hardwired instincts for it.
yeah, and you would kind of guess probably not an endurance.
He will slowly and deliberately follow after Denise, and I assume passing by the glaring werecoyote.
She's following behind you. She's still holding onto the gun, but she's not. Again, she's not using it or anything. She's just holding on to it.
Looking over his shoulder back to her. "I appreciate your restraint, miss."
She kind of snorts and just kind of does a short snort, and she goes, "If it were any closer to the moon, I wouldn't have been able to extend this courtesy." And there's like the growl creeps into her voice before she shakes her head. She goes,
I see.
"Bad timing for everyone."
Head flitting up to the moon. Well, at least that bit of lore seems to be true then.
As you follow them in, Carlos, you said you had a good segue?
I did. It no longer can function, so we can just do it as Carlos pulling up in the jalopy like, holy shit. Fuck, I hate back roads.
Oh.
We drove separate. I'm specifically working around you. It's funny.
Oh, right. You took the back roads to get there before. Okay.
So yeah, despite having the charisma of Christopher Lee, The Howling 2 is still just god-awful.
Good to know.
Some things star power sometimes can't fix a bad script.
Yeah, and that movie is just shit.
Hey, whose car are you in?
I'm pretty sure I went with Carlos.
Yep.
Okay.
It was just
So
pulling
Carlos, Fred, and Tommy,
Probably.
and then Olivia and Winifred in her truck.
Carlos seems the least annoyed by my antics at the moment, so I'm going with him.
I find your antics delightful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, including
Well,
me.
thank you.
And so as both vehicles are pulling up to the scrapyard or approaching it around the same time, even if you took different routes. But you are driving up to it when you see just tearing across the road and even cutting across some of the parts of desert. You see what looks to be and hear the roaring engine of a motorcycle just racing full speed towards the scrapyard, and it actually zips past your truck, Olivia, as you see very quickly Phil hunkered down on a chopper, just racing fast as he can towards the scrapyard, and almost does the Acura slide in the gravel driveway or the parking lot of the scrapyard, arriving before either of you. As you see him grab what looks to be another shotgun from his chopper and start racing towards the scrapyard, towards the office. And
Looks to Winifred.
he does not
What's
look
that?
happy. As Carlos, you see him as well as you start pulling in not long after he jumped off the bike.
Yep, Carlos picks up speed going, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Hold on, guys. And he
Winifred,
whips
what the fuck
into
was
the
that?
parking lot.
Do I also pull in the parking
Everyone,
lot?
you all show up. You both skid to stops and go racing after. As you saw him race into the what you would guess to be the main office area of this junkyard or the scrapyard. But as you go crowding in, filing in after, you look in and you see Hanzo there as he's just sitting there at a table in the little waiting area. There's like a little coffee table and he's just sitting there in one of the things. You see a large woman in her late 60s, looks to be like fashion sense is kind of a mix of beatnik and mechanic. Very large, heavy set, muscular, or probably muscular in her youth, but still very powerful looking.
Doubt.
You see nearby, you see a woman, very close familial resemblance, kind of brushing out her hair as fur starts falling as she's like shaking her hair out as fur starts falling from it, as she looks up with these strangely golden eyes. You haven't really seen irises like that before. As she looks up and looks startled as you see another guy come stepping out from the back. Looks to be a kind of Norse looking guy, blonde hair, Norse features kind of looking, wearing a biker's vest as he's looks at the group startled as everyone just barges in. As you also see Phil there being as the niece is telling him, calm down, put down the gun, and everyone just barges in. And Hanzo, you see your group just barge in. Not moments after, you see this woman revert from the were-coyote shape back into a human, and it is a strange sight as you just see like the fur shed and just kind of almost disintegrate in the dust as it's like the skin is regrowing, and you hear the audible popping of both her bones and Magnus, as you learned walking in, as their bodies reshape into humanoid form. And
Lord. So, I have my gun out, but not aimed at anybody. It is aimed specifically at the floor.
You see
everybody
Phil
stop.
spin around with his gun in hand, just on instinct, and then when he sees everyone's like, "What are you?"
Okay,
Carlos?
Olivia? Hi. It's me. It's fine. We lost Hanzo for a bit. Olivia, stop pointing a gun. You'll get shot again like
I
those
just
stupid
said I wasn't
bikers.
pointing the gun. I just said
Yeah.
that. It's aimed
No,
at the
no,
floor.
that-
It is not
Out of
aimed at
character.
anybody.
Out of character. I understand this and respect this. Carlos doesn't get guns. Stop pulling your gun out of places. You'll get shot again.
You hear Denise kind of sigh, and she goes, "Okay, so things are. It's got a lot more complicated."
Apologies.
Looks like you
Pitching the bridge of her nose.
We hadn't heard from.
What is
We hadn't heard
going
from
on
Hanzo.
here?
Hanzo,
You
who's been
hear-
sitting at
you
the
see-
coffee table.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hanzo's just sitting at the coffee table, hands clearly folded over, so, you know, I'm not hiding anything. Lifts up one hand with a finger. It's like, a misunderstanding.
Okay.
Please stand down.
All right,
Cool.
you're
You
not.
hear from
Nobody's.
the back, one of the door that leads into the back kind of creak open, and you see a pair of younger women,
Oh,
probably closer in to like your age, Olivia, or maybe even younger.
okay.
But one of Hanzo, you recognize one of them as the receptionist, and as you also remembered was Denise's daughter. But you also recognize the woman that showed up with Magnus, although you haven't gotten her name yet. And Denise's daughter, she goes, "Sorry, Mom. Shit was starting to go bad. We were worried, so we called Phil."
I looked. Phil's the one with the gun, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
and
have
I-
not met
I-
Phil
I-
yet.
Okay, I looked at him and I'm
Well,
like,
actually,
mean-
no, I don't know if you would have gone there. You might have been
I
to
am a
the bar
local.
during the day for like an thing, but I don't think you've ever met him personally.
okay. I looked at him and was like, I'll put mine away, and you do the same.
Actually,
Well-
wait, shit. No, Olivia. As
Yeah?
you like look up again, as you see the woman standing next to Denise's daughter, which was oh shoot, what is her name? I didn't give her name, so it is going to be Carrie.
Okay.
Standing next to this woman that looks. You see the familial resemblance between the younger woman and the Denise, but this other woman you recognize. This is
I do.
This is Ripley. It's someone who used to work at the preserve a few years ago. She found a new job, and
Oh. Ripley?
there's like a moment of like realization. Oh, Olivia?
Yeah, saying someone she knows. Ripley, and she just puts her gun away. No, someone she knows.
There's like there's like a look of like almost panic. She goes, "Oh no, this can't get back to Dr. Lucia, please."
No. What can't get back to Dr.
And then
Lucia?
there's a look of like, "Oh shit, did I say too much?" As she like glances over, and there's just another head sigh, but this time from both, from Denise, her sister Diana, and Phil, as they all just kind of sigh and just like, "Oh no."
Hey,
Hanzo
hey,
lifts up.
if I'm not telling anyone's secrets.
Chaos of this scene.
Yeah, that worked
Yeah.
so well for you.
What?
Olivia, you've told almost everyone we've ever met with magic.
No, I fucking haven't actually.
It just gives a look. Anywho's,
She hasn't.
So there seems to be stuff, fun. Who wants to go first?
Well, I've got all of the Howling movies.
There's like a collective disgruntled groan from some of the people there.
Kind of think it'd be fun to have sort of a movie night. I don't know most of you folks, but I think we could have a good time.
Okay.
Hanzo
just
lifts up his
back a little
hand in a sort of hold on gesture. And he looks to Denise, since she seems to be somewhat in charge. Sorry, finding my voice again. Denise, these are my associates. They've helped me with the Kasha. And several other incidents around town. You can trust them as much as you can trust me.
Hello.
I work at the preserve. Ripley knows me. I deal with dangerous. I would say animals, but that's not entirely accurate, especially as of late.
Yeah, I don't think Kasha counts as an animal.
I'm Fred
Yeah, I don't think so. I
Klutzman.
don't think it does.
I'm a night guard, and I frequently skip out on work to go fuck around with these guys and get into mischief, and that's my life now, I guess.
As as people started introducing them, there's like a bemused smile, or like half smile on Denise's face, as there's a slick of like almost like recognition, but as she's nodding along and she goes, okay.
We don't mean any harm here. We just saw somebody running towards our friend with a gun.
And she looks over at Phil and she goes, yeah, can't fault him for being protective. And you actually see the other woman, she stands up and she goes over and like very, very nonchalantly just gives Phil his like this kind of beer gut just a very solid backhanded whack with her hand. And she goes, yeah, he gets a little protective sometimes. And then you realize as she's standing there, they both have matching wedding rings.
Oh, that's understandable.
You like looking at this woman. She looks like she also was probably like a retired biker.
Family or friends, mix of both.
Yeah, you could say that. And she goes, "I'm Diana. Denise is my older sister. Married to this guy.
Oh, congrats.
Nice to
That's
meet you.
my niece."
Congrats.
Points over at Carrie.
And Ripley?
Ripley and Magnus are in the friends category.
Okay. Well,
And like, when they're introduced, the two just kind of like lift their hand in a half wave.
Hanzo?
Yes, Olivia.
Just because it would be fairly noticeable. There's an like now that you're talking and like tensions have calmed down, you start looking, like some of you might have glanced down, and it's weird. There's like piles of like dog fur almost.
I mean, you said when we were running
lumps.
in, we saw some of it like coming off of people, right?
Yeah, she was like, you saw Diana shaking her hair and like someone tried to get like ruffling her hair, and it looked like loose hair was falling out. But then like you're looking at the ground, you see like similar colored tufts of dog hair, it looks like, and also a couple of kind of oily black feathers.
Question, and if you don't, I don't know how to word this, but she motions towards the hair on the ground.
Diana squints.
Hey, Vic said, your secrets are yours. If you'd rather not say, it's fine.
Sorry.
Are
Is
you all
everything-
vampires?
Tommy.
Wait, what was
You're
that,
trying-
Tommy?
Good
Are y'all
timing.
vampires?
And there's like a pause before there's like a scattered laughter. Like, no, that would be much easier.
Yeah, I get that.
You're werewolves!
God damn it!
Wait, who said
I
that?
fucking called it!
Wait, who said that?
Fred.
What if Fred turns and walks out and goes back to the car?
And there's like a deep sigh from Diana as she's pinching her nose. She goes, "Not a wolf, not a wolf."
Fred,
Hello.
we were trying to be tactful.
I'm just so happy! I was right! Fred Klutzman was right!
Yeah, Fred, you and I were both in the same boat that were people existed. We're dealing with a were thylacine.
He's doing an awkward white man dance.
Oh my god.
It's so funny.
He's just so
that
happy.
Fred almost always manages to guess like a twist or something, and it's like consistent every arc now. He's guessed something early on, and I just had to sit there and be silent and grin.
I have something to say. I think will be add to the humor of the moment. Hanzo will look to Denise. You will have to forgive Mr. Klutzman. He leads a miserable existence, so validation.
Oh!
So,
Damn.
right, he sympathetically is
Damn.
like he's had a sad life, so
He's not gonna argue.
validation's that much more valuable.
You said miserable existence right in his face.
I mean, it's true, though. Also, he doesn't hear it because he's too busy dancing for joy. He can't believe it. He got it right.
But yeah, he is a somewhat miserable man, so this is very validating for him.
Denise is like chuckling. She goes, I mean, if it helps him, I guess. Oh god. So yeah, we weren't expecting so many people to suddenly learn about secrets in town. So
Fair.
Yeah.
As Carlos is saying this, the fire, like little inklings of fire, spool into a ball above his hands. Like, fair, I understand, and he puts the fire out. I get it.
So that's what you meant. Yeah. Okay. So, and she kind of looks to, Denise looks to Diana and Phil, and she goes, "You want to tell him, or should I?" And Phil just grumbles, and then he looks back and goes, "So, among us, only Denise and Carrie are the only ones not a werebeast."
Alright.
None of you
Wait,
are like
Ripley?
where thylacines, right?
Like a collective look of confusion. No.
Cool. Because the feds
And-
just got a photo on a camtrail of where thylacines. And that's
Not
fucked up.
transforming, just a
It was
transformed, I
wearing
guess.
pants.
Yeah, he was. They were wearing pants, and we're pretty sure he killed somebody.
Phil
Correct.
scowls and goes, "Think they were what was chasing Ricky?"
Probably.
I believe so.
Yeah. So wait, Ripley?
Chasing
Well,
Ricky.
Is this like what? No, Ripley, the girl who I used to work with.
Ricky. Chasing Ricky, the guy that...
No. I'm talking to the girl, Ripley, who I used to
Oh,
work
okay.
with. I'm like, she looked to Ripley like, Ripley?
And she grimaces and nods. She goes, "Yeah."
I mean, that's
Oh.
really cool. Like, is this like whole life thing or
No, believe it or not, it would kind of happen while I was working at the preserve, and kind of why I left.
What? What? How did?
Remember the Condor project? And you would know, you would totally remember. She was involved with part of her job was helping with the cloned condor chicks, California and Andean, various types.
Yeah.
She was one of the ones that would help with raising the hatchling. And she goes, yeah, I don't know if it's because of maybe my job there or something, or maybe it awoke some Latin genetic markers that it imprinted on, but yeah, I kind of turned into a were-condor. That's the proper term.
Holy shit.
Fuck, that's cool.
And Magnus nods and goes, and he kind of, when he speaks, you realize he's got an accent. He goes, yeah, I'm from Iceland, and it's been ever since I was a child.
What? Is it okay to ask what you turn into?
A raven.
Raven. Oh, the feathers. Okay.
And he kind of looks down at the floor, steps on a clump of feathers, and like slides it behind him.
All right. So this is just a thing that crops up in some people?
Diana grimaces and she goes, and then she like turns around, lifts up her tank top to show she's got some tattoos on her back, some old tattoos, but on her shoulder, like right around the shoulder blade, you see what looks to be a very old but very distinct scar of what looks to be a bite mark. And she goes, mine was forcefully transferred. And she pulls her shirt back down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She shrugs and she goes, it happened years ago. I've lived with it. And she like goes over and holds Phil's hand and she goes, he was a big help. And Phil he looks at her, he smiles fondly at her and gives her hand a squeeze back, and she looks back to goes, as long as I can remember, we've always been Jaguar warriors, or we can trace our descent back to, or ancestry back to Jaguar warriors.
So you're like, obviously not the same thing, but like vampires, you guys have always been around.
He nods and he goes, as far as I learned from my great grandfather, our family has been around since the old empires. And you realize it was actually mentioned in a previous session, but he's got a lot of old, Central American culture tattoos. That seems to be a very distinct theme he has going for it. And you actually see on his arm a classic depict, like the old hieroglyphic inscription, or illustration of a Jaguar warrior.
Oh. Okay. Wow.
So,
Well, fun
before my...
Why did you guys stay hidden when the vampires came out?
They kind of glance at each other and shrug. It's we're they kind of Diana goes, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because we outwardly become monsters when we're overtaken.
Yeah, that's when you looking different doesn't make it easy.
Yeah, the vampires still get shit for being around and out. We don't
I
see it
suppose.
here because we're one of the most pro-vampire cities in the world.
It's so important.
Yes.
Isn't it?
I suppose, but just feels kind of not fair if you guys gotta hide who you are and your counterpart in gothic horror trope is relatively accepted. I mean,
That gets
Not that-
a hearty laugh out of Mac. Then he looks over and he's like, "See, that's exactly what I've been saying. It's not fair." And he looks at you and goes, "Thank you. I've been trying to make that point to them." And there's this exasperated groan from that are probably been had.
Yeah, I
A
don't know.
discussion that's been had before.
I'm sure some people are gonna be douchebags, and I'm obviously in no place to talk about what you've been through, but I feel like the world's a cooler place now that we know where people are real.
And Phil kind of grimaces and goes, "And fortunately, there's been." And he kind of sighs and he goes, "Back when I was with the pack, back when I first met Denise and Diana, back in the 70s, there was a guy. He wanted to see if they could cure him. I can't even remember what he used to turn into, but he approached pluripotent and trying to see, approach them and explain his condition, and we never saw him again. We assume whatever happened to him, he never revealed us anything about us because no one came after us, but he went in one day. He told us he was going in to see if they could study and find a cure for those of us who wanted a cure, and he just never walked back out."
Well, Jackie doesn't know that you guys exist, so I don't think he was involved.
Wait, who?
Jackie. I mean, fuck no.
Lucia.
Oh God. Lucia, thank you. Lucia doesn't know you guys exist. So I don't think she was involved.
Lucia? And the name doesn't seem familiar to them.
She runs the preserve. Ripley, you know Lucia.
And Ripley would have recognized that, and she goes, "Oh yeah, oh wait, yeah." And then she's makes this grimace, and she goes, "Yeah, she was working with. She was still at pluripotent in the 70s, if I remember right. So, but she wasn't And she kind of frowns and she goes, I really don't think she would be involved in that. She's too. She looks at you, Olivia. She's like, too nice.
She's too moral." Yeah, so I understand not wanting to tell somebody, good or not, so connected to pluripotent about this.
But
and Denise looks over to you, Hanzo, and she goes, "So, speaking of, can we expect that from you, Mr. Agent? Mr. Pluripotent Agent?"
Specifically, the whole keeping a secrets thing. You mean? Is that what she's getting at?
Yeah. Just kind of reaffirming what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, he gives a quiet nod. Though, this mention of a lost colleague who went to pluripotent and never returned.
And
What are the chances that they are the one running around now? The aforementioned werethylacine.
We should also mention, because I don't think Hanzo... were you there for what we found out about the tooth?
No.
I was not.
Oh.
I'm simply going off of what my character knows.
Yeah, I was asking because she was going to bring it up. I wasn't sure if you were there. And I should add that the tooth that we found that we had the scientists, we had our people look at it, and it's a hodgepodge of a bunch of things. Human, thylacine, but so many other things.
Reptilian was mentioned in particular that I can recall.
So is it
That is what you
possible
told me.
this person was experimented on and got out?
Wait a minute. Recalling now.
Hmm.
Sarah.
Yes.
Everyone heard on the news that the good doctor was mauled to death.
Yeah, that's what you saw. That's how the last arc ended. With
Mhm.
everyone seeing that news report of the police that were escorting him to be handed over to the FBI and the Phoenix, as well as him, had been slain. Which and what you looked up was like you looked into it a little bit more and like just what you probably would have seen in like newspapers. The cops were killed in the cars while Dr. Porter's remains were off the road but nearby. And
Yeah.
you recall Dr. Guerrero was wanting to talk to you about Dr. Porter's remains
Yes.
before he got removed from the case.
Yes. And I never, because I was kept off of it, I never learned the identity of the murder victim up in the hiking area, right? Or did
Yeah.
Detective Bentley actually inform me who that was?
Because he was already like
Right. I
like
remember
bending
now.
rules. He could not give you an actual name just because that's like, if he did that, he would be in some legit serious hot water if it came out.
I'm already making that being said, I'm already making connections. The latest
the
murder.
dots.
The latest murder, not Dr. Porter. Or, not Porter, shit. Micah. No, wait, that is Micah.
Yeah. Yeah, Micah was his middle name that he was using as a cover name because he wasn't exactly that bright in that area.
And for whatever reason,
He's good at chemistry, but he made some questionable choices in some other areas.
Yeah. Me and the character both are making some connections. I was informed of a situation, murder up in the hills, and then what was the
2.5 miles from here?
Yeah, and the name of the kid, Ricky, right?
Yep.
He was chased. It's like, I do believe that whatever our mysterious thylacine was responsible for the murder, and that is what chased Ricky to you. I don't know the identity of the murdered, but I do recall that Dr. Micah was recently found dead and slaughtered, apparently by an animal. They never clarified what. And of course, I was kept off of this case. Sorry, I'm doing the thinking aloud thing. I was kept off of the case for my decision to let Porter go, releasing him into the custody of the police instead of pluripotent for questioning. And then, conveniently, Porter dies anyway. And you're saying you knew someone who went to pluripotent, never returned.
Yeah.
I hazard a guess that they may be one and the same, and pluripotent is using them as a assassin to keep its secrets confidential.
Oh, that sounds pretty
Like an
fucked up.
intense grimace on most of their faces, while Phil just kind of looks like perhaps vindicated.
As Olivia mentioned, there seemed to be genetic modification to this werethylacine. Active adaptation, instead of you all who seem to be locked into a single form.
And Diana goes, I mean, we were afraid it was another werebeast like us suddenly ignoring the number one rule of not hunting people and laying low. That was why I was out looking. I was sniffing her. She kind of catches herself saying that, grimaces, and she goes, I was looking around the scene where actually the crime scene was once the cops were gone. And yeah, something tore someone apart. It smelled like human blood just drenching the place. But I couldn't, it was strange. I did get a scent.
But you couldn't make sense of it.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was if they wasn't following some of the tracks, I would have thought it was different creatures just like moving around because they're
plenty of animals walk the same trails, leaving their scents behind.
But it was it just strange.
That would make an assassin ideally hard to trace.
And Phil, he goes, to be perfectly honest, this would not be the first time we've had to deal with someone that should be in a pack going rogue and becoming a kind of tensely frowns, becomes a man-eater.
There are two options here. One, somehow I keep forgetting. Did they say they were like a friend once upon a time, or just someone they knew?
Oh, the person who disappeared?
Yeah.
You don't know them.
He said that he was part of the pack, which was apparently a.
Oh, that one.
You heard from Suze?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, what?
No, ignore me.
You heard from Suze that the pack was a group of werebeasts that stayed in Redemption in the 70s for a while before moving on, right around the same time as the Flame-Handed Killers.
Yep.
And murders were going on.
You mentioned previously.
Oh, Jesus.
But it seems, but Phil said that it was someone in the pack, an older member who, not quite a biker like he was, who approached them and disappeared.
The name of your missing pack.
Yeah. And he seems to think for a moment, and he goes, oh, this was years ago. Shoot. Oh, it was Mikhail. Yeah, he was some Russian, I think. Now he was a legit werewolf. One of the few I've actually met. There's.
Ironic.
Yes, Ripley pipes up and she goes, from what, haven't met too many besides the ones in this room, but from what I've heard, gathered, it seems like lycanthropy, very inappropriately, poorly named, but you don't see herbivores. It's all carnivores or scavengers.
I mean, it makes sense. If I remember reading right, don't herbivores have to eat almost 4 times the amount of food a carnivore does? You'd have a werecow and you'd have a werecow having to decimate a cornfield just to fuel one transformation, and then a werecow doesn't last that long. Versus, you go grab a javelina and you find a tooth in it. And you go, huh, that's weird.
Assuming this is completely biological.
Magnus kind of laughs. He goes, "Oh, what if the Minotaur was just a werebull?"
That'd be really fucked up for that guy.
So,
Blinking.
or if do you guys know if this is something completely biological or
They
And
appear to be as just in the dark about this as we are.
yeah, and they kind of go, "That's kind of why." Like Mikhail approached them. He wanted to find out because he was convinced he was cursed, and he was desperate to see if maybe there was a genetic answer.
So
Yep.
that returns to my the point I wanted to make. That leaves us with two options. If Mikhail and this Werethylacine are one and the same, either A, he has escaped pluripotent's control and is killing on a whim, or B, he's killing exactly who pluripotent wants.
Why would Pluripotent want that one kid dead that got away?
that's a good point.
Yes,
I'm still in the
He could have
he may have wished to eliminate a witness. He did kill someone.
or it could have
Yeah,
been
that's-
collateral.
That's
Well,
what
yeah,
I,
that's
that's
true.
what I could gather out of Ricky when I brought him in. He said that he was just going for a night walk and he ran into him. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Olivia.
No. That's a good point. Yeah, he witnessed something, so witness.
So I'm
He
getting
said
the
it did speak to him. It told him to run. It said prey should run, which was one of the
That's
things that
fucked
made
up.
us worry that it was a werebeast gone rogue.
there's photographic evidence of it being very clearly a thylacine in jeans. Why jeans? If you know you're gonna transform, wear something comfy.
Well, it was they were more like shorts of a more forgiving material. I just said jeans in the moment.
No, a thylacine in jeans has a rhyme to it. I'm sticking with it.
If
A gylacine.
Gylacine.
Oh no.
Again,
The gylacine.
if it wouldn't cut you all off from the recording, I would leave.
that's the second time you've threatened that this night.
Mhm.
Okay,
Neither
let
would
me
have been
set
my
this straight.
fault.
So, what's Winifred up to? You just check again. She stormed out, or not stormed out, but left.
And she turned around and left, and she's just kind of like standing outside the door listening to this.
And
She's formulating
since you
her
can
own
see better in
opinions.
since you can see pretty well in the dark, vampire senses, you look around and it seems very clear that someone here must have like a sculpting obsession, because there's just so many like scrap metal sculptures just littering around behind the gate area. Once it gets into the scrapyard proper, it's like both loading area and showroom.
Mhm. I mean, it's good to use it for something.
And you actually see there is a statue partially completed, but it is complete just enough that you recognize it as a statue made out of various car parts and things combined into what is very clearly a woman, a cowgirl riding a half-finished ostrich. So you would definitely recognize it as one of the more famous depictions of Calamitous Case from old Redemption cowboy era.
She has not
Nice.
confirmed or denied how old she is, so
And
So out of
But,
character, real quick. What was the name of the werecondor?
Ripley.
Ripley, do you mind if I ask you a question real quick? So this might be a bit invasive, but I spent literally 2.5 to 3 hours both talking about the thylacine project at the reserve today and planning a new menu item. So when you became a were-condor, was it triggered from a bite from one of the birds?
He kind of frowns thoughtfully and she goes,
Or was it just proximity?
I've been thinking about this a while, and there were times, I mean, they were little babies, you gotta feed them by, force feeding them. They've got sharp little beaks. I mean, there's a good chance they might have broken skin at some point, or no significant bites stand out, but there's no, I've thought about this long and hard, but there's I raised so many of those. I helped raise like 5 clutches that
You got nipped
just
all the time.
exposure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's fair.
and I was just around them all the time.
Yeah.
I had to use and she goes, I had to use that hand puppet so much. And Olivia, you would know exactly what she means. That the people who take care of the rearing the birds, they have to make sure to use like a puppet underneath, while hiding the rest of themselves under a blanket, so the birds don't get imprinted on humans.
Yeah, Olivia smiles a little, adorable.
Absolutely fair. I was just trying to find out. One of the things I did look into, because we knew a little bit beforehand it was werewolves, but despite me being magic, first time, I did some research to find out people who interacted and may have been bitten or scratched a bunch by thylacines. So I was gonna just see if there was a direct connection or if it's just, you think, exposure. Because I'm not ruling out that it's not something
She
else.
kind of thinks about it and laughs. She goes, I mean, I was never involved before I was working there, but I mean, from the stories from some of the older staff, she looks over at Olivia. Those guys were, just as bitey as Tasmanian devils.
Yeah.
And then she's like,
were...
oh. And then she's like, can you imagine a were-Tasmanian devil?
Oh my god. That'd be rough.
That's how you get bugbears, people.
Fred's just imagining Taz from Looney Tunes, but in real life.
Yeah. Carlos is also imagining Taz from Looney Tunes.
Which is funny because he's nothing like an actual Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
But it's fun to imagine.
Yeah, I was just wanting to make sure I have a list of names of people who worked on the project that I can potentially interview for our outreach program at the diner that existed starting at noon today. Speaking of which, if you have any pamphlets for the junkyard or the art pieces, or you want to huck a couple of art pieces over there for sale, you're more than welcome to.
I mean, that might be useful, and you can always commission one yourself if you got, hankering for something specific. I know you got that roadside ride, right?
Yeah, the beast, I call it, in the background.
I can vouch for the creativity of the sculptures here.
Look, I don't know why the old owner had some shrinking into the life and then going through the microcosm of the body when we lived above the superorganism. Do you know how long it took me to reskin a virus into something recognizable? It's not even good, it's just acceptable.
Returning to the issue at hand. If this is Michael, then clearly genetic modification happened to him to go from a wolf to a thylacine and have markers of other species as well.
You're saying it's a mutant were Tasmanian wolf.
Yeah. It's not normal.
Dear God.
I'm considering the possibility that they modified his genome such that it is adaptable.
Straight up tampering in God's domain. I wouldn't say straight up in the 90s, or would I? Was that how old is that term?
I don't recall.
Could not tell you.
Straight up tampering in God's domain.
Phil goes, he disappeared in, it was, I think, like 74.
If he's been in prison since then and only now
Almost 20
released,
years.
he may be relishing his freedom, overstepping his bounds, if Pluripotent still controls him.
Yeah, oh, Olivia?
Yeah.
I think you would know that Dr. Lucia, she wasn't like her highest like ranking that she got that long ago. She was more in the 80s.
Okay.
Or, early 80s, or late 70s to early 80s before she split for the preserve, like closer to like the mid 80s.
That's before her time, so she wouldn't have any knowledge of it.
It was still like a high ranked researcher, but she wasn't head of her department yet.
Yeah.
The connections between the Preserve and Pluripotent would explain how Pluripotent would have access to thylacine genetic material. I suppose the question now is, what can we do together to make sure there are no more murders?
Well, we could go searching around late in the day, trying to find any trace of this creature attacking people. But we don't really have a lot of clues on where to search. So I think what would be the best use of our time is to spend the night in and watch some Howling movies. And then tomorrow, go and find some more clues in the daytime.
I would like to, turning from Denise and addressing the actual werebeast this time, is you were already taking measures, fearing that this was a rogue were, as it were.
Yeah.
You would happen to know how to best track and predict a were beast, I hesitate to say.
That's what we call ourselves, for lack of a better term, since we can't exactly call ourselves werewolves when none of us are, and lycanthrope, again, it's Lucia, or not Lucia, Ripley saying that she goes, and again, lycanthropy is just too wolf-centric.
Indeed.
So, werebeast is a blunt but useful summary, I guess.
Understood. In this regard, I would draw on your expertise of typical hunting patterns, I suppose.
It's always easier to hunt at night, go for the isolated ones. Not saying we ever hunted people, but that's when having to deal with rogues, that's or just even how we hunt when we need to. We just go out and hunt down, javelinas, sheep, what have you. And Phil holds up hand and he's like, not farm sheep. That draws too much attention. You leave a killed sheep on someone's farm, and then you got people asking.
Yes.
Or you got people wanting to go out and start hunting, and it's like, it's just.
I understand you all are trying to remain under the radar. That is why these murders are so concerning for you, because it's threatening to expose you. And I mean,
And Denise,
he does kind of do the gesture to like the rest of the crew.
yeah,
It's
Denise
bringing
goes, that's why
unwanted
I'm
attention.
so worried about this happening so close, because, I mean, that's... And she looks to the others, she goes, I open my scrapyard is open to them as a place where they can stay when the moon is full, and she kind of trails off, and Diana goes, when it gets hard to control those compulsions.
Yes, I
Safer
do
to be
believe
here,
you.
isolated, and
Yes, I believe you
support each
mentioned the full moon takes control away from you.
Doesn't take away control. It just makes it. It's like inhibitions don't matter as much. And they just kind of. Some of them look a little uncomfortable. Magnus goes. It's like everything is magnified. And he kind of laughs and goes, not to make a joke of my name, but sorry, what?
Your highs are higher and your lows are lower.
Yeah, and even just being, even when the moon is new and it's gone, there's, we're still hungrier than average people. We still got to eat more. We have that urge. I mean, God, let me tell you, you draw some really weird looks when your definition of what still counts as good food is a lot wider than what most people would eat. So, kind of gives the shrug.
Olivia.
And Ripley also makes like a knowing grimace and a nod.
Olivia chuckles a little. Yeah, eating more than normal people. Feeling your emotions harder. Imagine that.
Yeah, Ripley. When do you say that?
Yes.
Ripley, who knew you through the transition, she kind of laughs and goes, "Oh yeah, yeah." I can see the analogy.
But as you
movie
just
Ginger Snaps come out.
As you just said,
I feel like that was like in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it was.
Ripley's probably one of the few
2000. Yep.
people. Ripley and Winifred are probably the only people here who actually know she's trans.
Probably.
As you just shared, when the full moon approaches, you bunker down in order to protect yourselves and others. Our rogue doesn't have any compulsion whatsoever about killing people, and it is not yet the full moon. If we don't find it before then, there will be carnage.
Okay, well, there's no reason to call them an it.
We don't know if the were-thylacine actually has a human form.
We don't yet, no.
Considering Pluripotent has access to cloning technology, Michael himself may be dead, but they used him as a genetic template.
Yeah, I could see that.
Something entirely beholden to them. That is a possibility, but we'll find out the truth sooner or later.
When you are saying that, there's like a very subtle growling noise from Diana.
Look, I'm not the biggest fan of Pluripotent either.
No one should be. It is a corporation.
Yeah.
Corporations are never your friend.
Yeah.
Exactly. No corporation is safe.
Indeed.
At the end of the day, they're after their own well-being.
Yes.
Niska, so I appreciate all of your understanding and I appreciate you kind of taking up the, being so eager to deal with problems like you did with the Kasha. Kasha, I'm saying it right, yeah?
Yes.
That was something I was always worried would, become a problem again. And when I saw the killing started again, I was so worried we were gonna have to deal with it again. But I'm glad you were able to deal with it. You handled that.
Wait a second. The last appearance of the Kasha has how long ago?
70s.
So about 10
70s.
years ago or so.
20 years ago.
All right.
How old were you when the Kasha last showed up?
I was in my late 30s. She kind of
How old?
thinks about it, and then she makes a frown. She's like, it's not polite to ask a woman her age, says this very large butch woman. She's just like,
No, that's fair.
You hear Winifred call from outside. She does it all the time with me.
Damn.
Yeah, you know that Diana is the younger sister to Denise. Phil looks younger. He looks like in his early 50s, maybe.
I hesitate to ask.
That's how old I said he was last time.
I think so. That's about right.
I hesitate to ask because you have reason to mistrust me, and understandably do not want to spread this information. But if our killer is indeed a werebeast, may I ask, what other pieces of folklore are accurate, such that it will aid us in bringing it down?
They kind of look between each other. I think you might have to do another someone for, because that's a big ask.
Yes, it is.
If anyone wants to chime in, they might be able to do a help out, but you have to
Yeah.
how
hey.
would you help out? Like, what would you say?
I understand having things that are.
I'm gonna
personal to
use
you.
my trust me ability. You tell a normal person the truth, and I'm a mundane, and I almost never get to use my class shit because when we're socializing with people, everyone else takes the lead.
Proceed.
So I'm gonna actually break in here. Trust me, when you tell a normal person the truth in order to protect them from danger, roll plus charm. On a 10+, they'll do what you say they should, no questions asked. On 7 to 9, they do it, but the keeper chooses one from the list. They ask you a hard question. They stall and dither a while. They have a better idea. On a miss, they're going to think you're crazy and maybe dangerous too. Okay.
Go, Fred, go.
Go, Fred, go.
Boy, go. Jump, white boy, jump.
Okay. That is... that's an 8.
8.
So
Okay,
they'll do what I ask, but they'll either ask me a hard question, stall and dither a while, or have a better idea. It's like, look, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just really fascinated that werewolves are real. It's kind of wonderful. We're gonna keep your secret. if you feel safer with the world not knowing you exist, then you can protect that magic, and we'll be your secret keepers. This guy's broken the rules for you. He's or she is making problems for you and for others and hurting people, and we gotta stop him. And listen, you know how you can deal with a person like me, because I'm like a schlubby guy. You could probably just, push me into a desk real hard and snap my neck. So,
Oh my god.
It's
And
not
was
that
like-
hard to get us out of the picture if we betray you. But we're not
Phil
gonna.
kind of laughs, and he's like, I want to sell yourself short there, Fred. I saw you get thrown through my window at the bar, and you're still here, so.
Oh, I got fucked up. I got fucked up so many times that week. Oh, they had to give me like
you
lizard
did.
skin or something. Oh, it was terrible. I'm still worried that I'm going to turn into some sort of mutant, but it hasn't happened yet, so I guess it's okay.
And this
I
will
don't want to
be the
turn into a
hard
mutant, you
question.
say, to the animal
Okay, this will be the
shapeshifters.
hard question. Shh, hold on.
Sorry.
This will be the hard question. Magnus will just kind of lean in intensely. You're not the threat, are you? You're not some kind of lizard monster going out there eating people?
I'll be honest.
You just
I
hear
don't
Winifred
know.
start laughing outside.
I don't know. As soon as the idea of werewolves cropped up like a couple of weeks ago, I wondered, what if I'm a were creature of some sort? And I don't know the rules, so I don't know if maybe I'm secretly transforming. I don't know. And that's actually kept me up a couple of nights. I'm assuming I don't, but sometimes you wake up and you got a strange bruise and you're not sure where that's from. Maybe you slept on your arm funny, or maybe you've been secretly sneaking out of your house at night and going on Kessler Wolf rampages like an American werewolf in London. And then Jenny a Gutter's gonna shoot you in an alley.
Oh my god!
And they're
She's so
laughing.
pretty!
And I they're laughing along, they're laughing, and they're like, okay, and your sincerity has convinced them.
Fred, why didn't you bring that up?
You're
welcome, motherfuckers.
So, the movies,
Fred.
Phil's just kind of like, okay, so the movies kind of have it right. Silver really fucks us up if it gets in her blood. Don't know the reason why. It works. That's something the movies actually got right.
No, it didn't.
Could just be a metal allergy.
Trusting you that we can trust you with that as, we're giving you our, silver bullet kryptonite. The comparison kind of loses strength there a bit, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, we get you.
I'm not sure it'd
Funny
be
hearing this old retired biker talk about kryptonite.
thinking about it for a few moments. It's not really relevant, but in response to we don't know why it does it, that silver is well documented for being antimicrobial, if lycanthropy, quote unquote, is indeed a virus.
And Ripley kind of goes, "That's been kind of what I was thinking too. I don't really have access to. I mean, I was in the animal husbandry part of working with the preserve, so I wouldn't really know what to work, lab tech, but haven't really been able to test that myself. And after what Phil said happened to Mikhail, that's kind of why I've been skeptical about approaching anybody about possibly testing my blood.
Yes, understandably so.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like at the preserve, like you just admitted, able to see what kind of genetics are in the fractured tooth, and or a tooth to see that she didn't know it was fractured, but a tooth and find out all that genetic stuff. What would they see if they found like one of our feathers or something?
Well,
That's totally fair.
at the very least, if they find one of your feathers, they're more likely to go, "Oh hey, it's a condor feather," or "Oh hey, it's a bird feather," before they test it, kind of a deal. But I understand 100%. Your secret is safe with me, and as soon as you can get me some of those statues, they're going out in front of this diner.
And you hear
No, that's
Carrie, who's
fair.
been kind of silently listening in, the younger daughter of Denise. Although not like super young, she's a bit younger than Olivia, but she is an adult. She's not like a teenager or anything. She goes, "Oh yeah, could handle that. I handle mom. I handle the business side of mom. She's the one who builds them. I sell them."
Awesome. I'll get some space cleared out for him come morning.
So
The
what
moon
do you
heightens
all want to
emotion.
do now? Or if
So-
there's anything else you want to... It seems that covered most of the bases with them.
All right, I'll just do a little recap then, for my own benefit. It's like so the moon heightens emotions. We ideally need to. That means our killer will probably get more and more bold. Ideally, we want to stop them before the full moon, when they are at their least inhibited, and you all cannot assist us.
Do you know what happened? So you can turn people into werebeasts through your scratches or bites.
Usually bites. And Diana goes, "That's how I was infected."
Bacterial.
What happened? Does that make you immune to each other's scratches and bites then?
And they kind of there's like a moment before Phil blushes and Diana laughs and she goes, "No, because we haven't really
No,
became
no. Oh, no. I mean, like,
hybrids, I guess." As she's laughing and Phil seems bashful about it, like you might have. And then like Denise is just like, "Guys, come on, seriously." And she like throws a pencil at her sister and Diana's laughing.
okay, I did this.
Denise is like, "Oh, right, Hanzo here." And everyone, you see Denise reach behind her, and then she just slides Hanzo's gun across the table.
Thank you.
And I did this.
Yeah, and Ripley is just like, she's kind of like blushing at that.
Oh, no.
Like, okay, yes, Olivia. From what we can tell, once you have become a rare beast, you stay that way unless, as we might be suspecting, some outside force works on you. Because I mean, you
Does
hear
make
about all
logical
those crazy
sense.
things that you hear about black market genetic labs and just what they can make thanks to pluripotent now. It's just like frightening.
Remind me to tell you. Yeah. Just thinking of the heart.
All right. So the full moon is approaching. They are going to hunt at night, most likely. Silver will be the most effective weapon.
And
Is there anything else we should know?
and Denise grimaces and she goes, "I haven't had to make anything like that in a while, but back when I was active in the, monster dealing business,
Is that like a job?
Yes.
it doesn't really pay as much as it should, but there's benefits."
It's more of a calling than a profession.
Yes, exactly. Just, I mean, you said you met, she goes, you should meet Sue sometime. She's got some old stories. She's been at this longer than I have even been.
We've gone to Sue before for help.
She has assisted us.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. But if you can bring me the silver, because I don't like to have it around, just gestures to her family and friends.
Understandable.
I might be able to make you some knives, some silver-plated knives at the very least.
Thank you.
And above game, ding ding ding, you have finally met your weapon maker.
Ooh.
Oh shit!
Fuck yeah.
Oh yeah.
And she goes, now, I do have some people who work for me during the day. Tow truck drivers, brings me these things. He hangs out a lot at Phil's place, and some other drivers. So if you gotta come in during the day, be discreet.
Of course.
Yeah, it's
100%.
this is still technically a legitimate business. Technically.
Understood.
Is there anything
Well,
else that needs to be covered? Sorry, what?
It goes both ways if you ever need anything.
Yes. You are, like, human or not, you are still citizens of this town.
I mean, being a vampire or a werebeast does not mean you're not human.
Yeah. And we're not gonna let you get in a situation where you're stuck in the alley. And Jenny and Gutter is there and she doesn't want to. Sorry.
You looked at Denise. I understand this is an unusual crew, but unusual circumstances call for unusual problem solvers.
Yeah, despite we don't always get along 100%, but we've got you done.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that needed to be covered before?
Yeah. Sorry, one more question. Has anyone ever willingly come to you to transform?
Phil makes this grimace, and he's this frown, and he's just like, they're not in any recent years, but people I heard about and had encountered back when running with the pack, but they either did not know what they were getting themselves to, or were, put it bluntly, fetishists.
Ew.
Well,
I guess that's.
thing, it's.
I guess that's one way to increase your numbers.
I don't know if it's worth it.
Yeah, there was some in the pack that strictly believed that we should do everything to not propagate that outside of having kids.
No, that's absolutely fair.
Well, Hanzo will stand up, holster his pistol. Thank you for your understanding and your cooperation. I'll get to the bottom of this.
And Magnus goes. He kind of went silent when you mentioned that, and then he kind of pipes up. He goes, "I was very sickly when I was a kid, and I was given this gift in an attempt to save me when a fever took me. My mother knew of. My mother was on. Her family had been on Iceland for generations, and they knew the people who still practiced the old magic, and I was gifted this because then I was healthy again.
Fair enough.
Sixth sense. And Diana nods. She goes, I've never gotten sixth sense then either. And Ripley nods as well.
Sorry, like out of character is like, oh, sorry to bring down the mood with that. It's like, but hearing that, it's like your
And-
genetic resilience may have been why pluripotent was so interested.
Yeah, that might be,
Something that can easily recover from sickness.
And Ripley, there's like a moment where she just kind of chuckles darkly, and she's like, I mean, maybe it's like a vaccine or inoculation thing, where we're already infected with something, so the system blocks everything else out.
Indeed. And just because this behaves like a virus does not mean it is mutually exclusive with magic.
True.
And Magnus nods. He goes, as far as I know, I wasn't bitten or anything. It was ritual.
That would make sense.
It sometimes happens in nature that animals of different backgrounds converge upon the same body plan. That may be the case with lycanthropy.
Shrug.
But I'll take no more of your time. It is late. You have much to think about, and as do we.
Including
Hey,
which of
Nana.
these Howling movies we're gonna watch.
All right, Fred. We'll watch The Howling.
I need someone else to appreciate my pain.
Okay, I'll watch The Howling with you.
They're so bad.
But also, Diana goes, so I just wanted to be clear here. We're the only ones that we know that are in town, with our affliction, so unless there's others hiding out there, which is possible. I've thought I've smelled, while out, running the trails hunting, I thought I might have smelled, strange new, scents out there, like someone new moved in, but someone else has been hunting, but I thought maybe I didn't think too much of it, but now that we've been talking, there might be someone else out there.
Yeah, it
I mean,
could
now that
be.
we know there is someone, but
Just be careful when you go out the next couple of days.
oh yeah, I was only out because searching. Normally when the moon's full, we don't really leave here all that much during the night, or at all at night. But it was just something that occurred to me while we were talking. Don't let us keep you. And she looks at
hope the rest of
you.
your night goes well.
Sorry, what's that?
I hope the rest of you guys' night goes well.
Yours as well. Stay safe. And Diana turns to you. Hazo, she goes, again, I hope no offense. When we kind of met, I was worried you were the thing going around killing people, and then I thought you were there to maybe kill us or my sister or my niece, so got a little defensive there. Hope you can understand. And then with the, moon rage and all, she kind of looks a little sheepish. Hanzo?
Easy.
Easy.
Pardon me.
Easy.
What was that?
Oh, Diana was talking to Hanzo saying she was apologizing for being so aggressive when you first met. She was saying she thought you were there, hunting them down.
I do not begrudge you wanting to protect your people. I am doing the same.
Actually, she goes, I've really tried my hardest not to be, hurt people ever since I became this, but, tempers flare.
Yes. Thankfully, cooler heads prevailed.
So,
Good evening, miss.
Take care, everybody. As Phil goes, and he just kind of flinches and I kind of rushed out there and left one guy in charge. I need to get back while I still have one. As he kind of laughs and he gives Diana a kiss and goes, "I'll be back later. I just gotta wait until the next shift comes in." She knows. So he'll walk out with y'all if you're departing.
We are.
And Carlos, Carrie will, give you a business card with the phone number for the scrapyard. She's like, talk to you tomorrow about it.
Yep. Feel free just to swing in, get some food if I'm not dead. Or you can get food if I'm dead. I'm pretty sure Hugo will still make you food. Hugo came with the building. Hugo will outlive us all. And that's how he leaves it and walks out into the night.
Hugo will outlive all by poison.
How's everyone splitting up? Phil walks out with you, but he gets on his bike and he's going to head back to the bar. You don't really want to leave a bar like that understaffed for too long.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Fair.
Well, I imagine we get in the same cars we were going here in.
Where are you going? Oh, though Hanzo has his car too, if people want to ride with him.
I feel I've got a pretty solid plan for our evening.
Yeah. We're going to fucking Fred's house.
Watch his fucking movies with him.
But they're so bad. Each one worse than the last.
Then why do you have them?
I rented them!
What the fuck is calling on me? Hold on.
I explained this very thoroughly earlier.
No. I mean, I understand you have them. But, and you've rented them. But if they're that bad, why haven't you returned them?
Well, I haven't watched all of them yet. And as I've said, I need someone to understand what I've gone through. What I've sacrificed to research this topic.
Okay.
Okay. So everyone's going back to Fred's place, or?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what Hanzo's going to do. He is
That's
very
fair.
much I can't sit on my hands now that I have new information to work with, and yet What is he gonna do? Just wander around in the dark, hopefully stumble across a fucking predator?
Alone.
You know that Dr. Guerrero was still working tonight. He had just been reassigned. So
That
there's
is
always,
true.
you could always go visit him if you wanted, but that might draw some attention if he's under watch or whatever. But it's up to you what you want to do. So
That is a good point. I would like to pay him a courtesy visit. Not on the clock or anything.
so you gonna explain to Fred that you'll meet back at his place later?
Sounds reasonable.
Fred,
I have
You're gonna.
he's trying to
you-
weasel
forgive
his way
me,
out of it.
Klutzman, but I do have I'm going to make a stop before I rejoin the group.
Okay.
Don't
Pick
disappoint
up the beer
Fred.
and ice cream.
I mean, it's okay. If you come in the middle of one of these, it really doesn't help or hurt matters in any significant way. It'll make about as much sense and be about as satisfying of a watching experience.
Understood.
Everyone's heading over to Fred's while Hanzo goes to Dr. Guerrero's. So yeah, it's now pretty solidly at night. The moon's up, stars are out. There's some clouds. You heard that there might be the next week, maybe, but any reports of rain have to be very taken with a grain of salt sometimes, because it's like that's a very optimistic thing to hope for. Yeah, I mean, it does happen, and there are spring showers. There were some not like I even said that there were some like the week before the actual campaign started, so it's not like would it be absurd to have some rain, but nothing serious. That's more for the later in summer monsoon season. But yeah, it's a pretty nice night. Pretty nice night out tonight because it's springtime. It's not the heat of the day dissipates pretty quickly.
Sorry. Did you addressing me?
Oh, not yet. I mean, if you want to.
No, continue laying the scene, please.
Oh, that was the scene. It was just like I didn't know if people wanted to talk while going, or we could jump right in to the next destinations.
Okay, so you said you're seeing.
There were some big reveals that just happened.
Yeah.
So you said you're seeing the Howling 2, but not Howling 3 yet?
I'm on the Howling 4.
Oh, you're on the Howling 4.
Oh God.
I'm on the Howling 4.
Poor Fred.
Like I remember seeing the original Howling in theaters back when I was.
We can go back to that one. It might even be likable now after having seen the sequels. But I doubt it.
Well, it's been so long since I've seen the original one. I think we should start at the first and then go through all of them for research purposes.
Yeah, exactly. There's fucking 6 of them.
Why did
There's
you
Howling
rent all
1,
6?
Howling 2,
That's
Howling
so
your
much
sister.
money.
Howling 2, your sister is a werewolf. Howling 3, the marsupials. Howling 4, the original nightmare. Howling 5, the rebirth. Howling 6, the freaks.
You've been really excited to find a werewolf, haven't you, bud?
Yeah, I hear
And
there's
you
talks
found
of
the
them
werewolf.
making a 7th Howling. They're gonna try to make another one of these. And I know that we
Personally,
hunt monsters, but I'm thinking we gotta stop that.
I mean, that is just stopping a monster.
So yeah, we can start wherever. I need somebody to know what I'm going through. So man, werewolves, right?
Yeah, werewolves. I mean, like, in the grand scheme of things, it makes sense, but it's still weird, right?
Now we just need to find Frankenstein's and complete the trifecta. I mean, we've sort of kind of had something, but I mean, like, we don't have like a Boris Karloff type, you know?
You know, I don't know if I've ever run into a flesh homunculi before. I've run into a few weird things in the past. Like that thing out of Pennsylvania.
You've got like a lot of backstory that I don't feel you've shared yet.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff I don't tell people. For their own safety.
I tell people too many things too freely off the cuff.
That's why I like you. So, there was this one time. So I was in Pennsylvania, right? I'm going through the woods. There's been some weird disturbances. I'm like, I got 20 minutes on a side run. Why not? So I go take a poke in, and it's this little, like, pig-sized thing covered in warts, right? And I'm like, what the hell is this in the back of my head? And it is just weeping in the woods. And I looked at it, and it saw me, and it turned, and like I saw it was weeping, and I shit you not, Fred Klutzman, that thing began to shrink. And like it ran away, and I chased after it because I wanted to find out what was wrong. It kept on getting smaller and smaller, and then it vanished.
Well, that's strange.
Yeah, I got nothing. Like the closest I found
About
was in
the
a.
molecules of the grass.
That's just straight up weird what you've just told me.
I know. Best I could tell, there was an old
It's such a
lumberjack
shame.
tail.
It's kind of a shame that Shady had to leave just now, because I was just imagining Tommy in the back seat listening to these stories like, wow, I thought I was the weird one.
Yeah, so I was reading. I didn't know what it was until I read an old like lumberjack tales book, and they called it a squonk. It didn't look like a squonk, but apparently that's what it's called.
Of course it was a squonk.
But no, I'm not worried about you telling anybody about them, Fred. You're a good feller, and you'll keep your mouth shut when you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, we'd have more problems than we already have.
Also, I have like no social circle outside of you guys, so it's not really anyone to tell.
Well, I'm sorry you don't have anyone else to tell.
That's fine.
We'll get you somebody. It's fine.
Oh, after a point, I think when you get to a certain age, your life just gets simpler and simpler until eventually you're alone and you die.
Jesus.
Fred, good lord.
Okay, Fred, Bud, like puts a hand down on the console, which if there was like with the strength of if this thing had airbags, it would pop, but it doesn't because it's from like 1955. We'll get your life fixed next. No worries. We can take care of this werewolf or thylacine problem, and we're gonna create new outlooks for you on life.
Okay.
Because that was miserable, my bud.
Oh.
So we're gonna fix that.
Yeah, okay. Sounds good to me.
I think we will switch over to Hanzo.
Very well.
Nancy? Okay. As you split from the group as you're mulling out I just want to think, how is Hanzo feeling about accidentally stumbling into such a development?
Well, he's glad to not have killed anyone.
Your gut led you to not what you were investigating, but an entirely different mystery.
Indeed. Nonetheless, it is.
That was much louder than I was expecting. Apologies.
Nonetheless,
No,
it is. I've learned things that will assist in my own investigation.
And you pull into the parking lot for the coroner's office that's right next to the sheriff's department. And you do see Detective Bentley's car is there in the parking lot. You recognize it now that you met with him a few times. But it's fairly busy, but did you just want to go straight to Dr. office? Is that what you could call it?
Not without casing the joint first. Wondering if anything's up.
Okay. Yeah, looking around, it does seem, no, don't really need a roll for that. It's just fairly busy for, it's a Thursday night. You do recall, hearing about hospitals and police are always busier around full moon. Is legit a thing you can track the statistics of. And so they seem fairly busy. You see a couple of sheriffs deputies go out to their car and talking, chatting, and they head out. While you're there, you also see, now that you're looking through the parking lot, you do see another vehicle that's same make and model as yours, same black finish, and same pluripotent tags on the license plate. Not like the same numbers, but like the same clearance tag, which you would, it's the kind of cars that people working for pluripotent like you are assigned, since they have their own carpool.
Mm-hmm. Poor baby.
I heard puppy.
Real puppy moment.
Is that yours?
Yep. Going to enter the building, Dan.
The coroner's office is, where the morgue / coroner's office is. It's not attached to the. I don't know. Wait, it would be. So yeah, you would go in and. You're recognized enough that while before you where you have to stop and be buzzed in, the secretaries recognize you. That they look up, recognize you, give a nod, and you hear them buzz the door open, and they say through the intercom, "Were you going to the morgue first, or into the police station?" It depends on where you want to go. I don't know if I don't want to take the narrative if there was something you wanted to specifically do.
I'll head to the morgue. He should be in
Okay.
and working.
Okay. Yeah. The secretary, you hear that you get buzzed in as they nod, and you crackle through the inner. Dr. Guerrero said you might be coming by. Go on in. And you're let in. So, descending underground, it's once again just immediately much colder, even for an air conditioning interior. But morgues are always frigid for reasons. So you go in, and stepping out from the area where autopsies would be performed is Dr. Guerrero. As he's taking off his gloves, there's some blood on him as he goes, Agent Hanzo. wasn't certain if I would see you tonight, as he goes and starts washing his hands.
Patiently waiting. If I didn't express it previously, I would like to thank you for your assistance with my last investigation. As a sort of code of, is it safe to talk, or do I have to make pleasantries?
As he kind of picks up on the glances around, and then there is like a security camera up in the corners of the rooms, and he goes, "Oh, we can speak freely. They watch, they don't listen.
As far as we
It
know.
would be too expensive to install microphones in here, I believe."
Understood. I won't take much of your time then.
He turns and he goes, "So, the reason I initially called you earlier last morning, or this," and he kind of frowns and he goes, "Difficult working on a completely separate sleep cycle as normal humans. So, this morning when I called you initially, it was to bring up my suspicions about the deceased Dr. Porter. And then when I awoke and came into work this evening, or this afternoon when I called you, before I called you, I was strictly reprimanded and told that I was no longer involved with the case."
I see.
I noted some. I don't want to say it was because I noticed some discrepancies or peculiarities, but it has me curious that someone may be interfering with this investigation.
Understood.
Kind of nods over his shoulder. He goes, "Well, I haven't been involved in it, but there was another death that came in, however briefly, before being moved on hospital itself
Aside from the one
for the
murdered in the
facilities
hills.
there." But sorry, was it?
Aside from the one murdered in the hills.
No, that one. It was that one. They came here briefly before being transferred to the facilities at the hospital. The hospital that you know, Hanzo, is owned and operated by. They basically, like, the main hospital in Redemption is considered one of the best in the country, and kind of around the world for various reasons. You know, because of their, this is where Pluripotent puts out all their, cutting edge stuff, for people that need it.
Of course.
You get a lot. There's actually a lot of people that move to Redemption who have very specific medical needs.
Vampirism is one of those medical needs.
And but he goes, "I did do the autopsies for the 2 police officers. I never really worked with them that much. They find me too creepy to come down into my cave." But from what I could tell, or what we recovered of Dr. Porter's remains, was his left forearm and most of his right leg, among various pieces of flesh and viscera that were scattered about. It seems that the majority of him was taken, and the pieces that we did have were gnawed and chewed upon, slashed by claws. And from what I briefly saw of the poor fellow, caught a name as he kind of looks down at his hand or at his forearm as he pulls back his sleeve. He wrote in a few things. He goes, "A Marcos Ruder, seemingly from Pluripont, was all I could gather, suffered similar wounds and of slashings and being fed upon. But I was not able to inspect him personally."
Yes, mauled to death by an animal, according to the news.
From a cursory look, I would guess that yes, similar if not the same creature was responsible. However, the police, they were slain with again the bone bullets. At least one of them was. The other one was stabbed, pierced through a straight through the car, through the car seat from behind by some kind of blade, stiletto type blade, if I had to guess. Here's the thing. As we've discussed and discovered, Dr. Porter, I believe, had a concealed bone weaponry. Do you agree with me on this, perhaps?
He was in possession of a bone weapon. He insisted
I've
that
heard
he
of
had
them
gotten
being
rid of it.
implanted, and he clearly had one on him when he killed the officers. But
Yes.
the thing is, his left forearm would have been where, according to the forensics of the slain officer, it would have been in his left forearm. That is a completely normal arm that I inspected. And yet it had his genetics. It was his.
So wait, he's saying he had done the autopsy and the body, at least
Pieces
that
that
he
he had.
examined.
And he goes, another peculiar thing is, I sent a sample, and he kind of lowers his voice. He goes, rather illegally, I sent a sample off to an associate of mine with their own examination equipment. They're the ones who revealed to me about the enamel, the unique structure of the initial bone bullet. And after my own hunches, the DNA of the bone bullet fragments and the limbs are a positive match. That was Dr. Porter's bone that was used as ammunition. He grew it himself.
I see.
But my friend actually called me not long ago to tell me that while the leg, the genetic age of it, of the cells, would match of a man of Dr. Porter's age, but the arm, the cells were fresh, new. No scars, no stress fractures in the bones.
I see.
Oh,
Very much gives that
and-
I know what you're laying down.
if I didn't have to guess, you're not looking for a one-armed, one-legged man, just a one-legged. I am under strict orders not to be even carrying these notions. So,
Of course. In fact, I do not recall having this conversation. Again, thank you for your service.
and he kind of gives a nod with a slight grin. He, as long as you've known him, as you know, a few times you've met with him, very like no expression, and this like even the slight grin is like something you've never seen really with him, and he just goes, "It has been a long time since it has been so interesting at work,
Indeed.
and yet you keep bringing me interesting, or you seem to be involved with the interesting cases."
Interesting things are afoot.
Indeed. But I have other things I must get to, and
As
I
do
do
I.
not want to keep you from anything you are working on.
Just turns on his heel
Ow.
and leaves.
Sorry, my ankle just popped and it sounded like a twig snapping. Ow. My ankle's noisy sometimes. It's like I tore it in 8th grade, or sprained my ankle in 8th grade, and it's been noisy ever since. Thank you, human body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, welcome.
So, anything else you wanted to do while you were there? Dr. Guerrero is going to go back to work.
Of course. He's just gonna leave then. If he sees the detective at all, he's just gonna give a little salute.
You don't, without like going back, it seems he's back at his office, so you won't be able to see him unless you get yourself let into the back. But
Yeah, he's not going out of his way.
as you walk out, there's a voice that goes, "Agent Hanzo, may I ask what you're doing here?" And when you turn around, you recognize Agent Johanna Wakefield.
Agent Johanna. Wakefield, right?
Yes.
Agent Wakefield.
You were on assignment for anything? Have business with the sheriffs? And she glances over.
It
Or
had occurred to me that I did not properly thank our forensic science test for our last collaboration.
yes, Dr. Guerrero is an effective scientist. Analyst. I don't know what the appropriate word she would use in this.
Mhm.
But I do hope you're not getting yourself involved in a case that you are most decidedly not involved in.
I cannot involve myself in a case if I do not know what the case is.
She kind of squints. And she goes, "Oh, very well."
I am understandably in the doghouse, as it were.
And she kind of does that little suck through her teeth where someone's just like, "Yeah," but she doesn't say the "yeah" part.
Mhm.
She goes, "Rumor has gotten around the water cooler back at work of it. Dr. Porter was would have been a big find in cracking the infiltrators."
Indeed. I made a judgment at the time. It had consequences. Now, Agent Wakefield, I do wish you luck with whatever your assignment is. My current assignment is watching. Sorry. My current mission is watching a bunch of bad movies.
Kind of like narrows her eyes at that, and she goes, "Yes, and enjoy your day off, Agent Hanzo." And she turns around, flicks her cigarette away because she was, and then heads back inside.
Cool as a cucumber. Yeah, he's just gonna return to his car and head back to rejoin the group then.
So everyone gathers at Fred's place.
Yeah.
The what was it called? The Oasis Bloom Hotel.
Yeah, okay, so I've got the futon so that the mechanisms don't pop out and stab you while you're watching, so we finally fixed that problem.
Actually got a new futon thanks to Tommy menacing the manager of the place.
Oh shit, yeah, that's true. I forgot that occasionally small quality of life increases happen. As a result of other characters learning how miserable my existence is. Anyway.
It's more like him going, now that I got a new one, it doesn't stab you or try to fold up while you're sleeping and drag you into the belly of the couch.
Yeah, it doesn't try to eat me anymore. So that's pretty nice.
Oh my god.
Oh, I can imagine.
Not a Murphy bed.
Yeah, all I can imagine now is immediately cuts to one instance where it did. His arms are just flailing out the sides.
It's like the wall owls are over in his kitchen eating his cereal.
What do you think sprung the trap?
Owls?
It's like the owls sprung.
You know, some places have rats, some places have owls.
Mm-hmm. Burrowing owls, I imagine.
Burrow through the walls.
Yeah, the bed like that's like a giant mouse trap. They triggered it so they could eat his food.
Futurama ass apartment. Alright, so are we starting with the beginning?
Do you wanna?
Yes.
I mean, it does delay having to see the Howling 4, so...
So, yeah, you can order pizza and stuff. They're during a time of 30 minutes or less delivery. I think that was then still around.
We absolutely order pizza as we prepare to watch The Howling 3. Fred also makes microwave popcorn, and true to 90s microwave popcorn, there is no way to cook it without burning half the kernels. Or leaving half unpopped. That's the devil's bargain you're going to make.
Yeah. We all gather at Fred's and can enjoy the Howling movies.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, when Hanzo shows up, he's got a plastic bag from a corner store. I brought confections.
Yeah. Alright, so this... Thank you, Hanzo. Okay, so this one's gonna be the least terrible, I assume. Maybe the Howling 5 is a gem, but this is gonna be the least terrible so far. So, it's all downhill from here.
You have stoked.
Let's begin.
You have stoked my
Hanzo.
expectations.
You show up like right around the same time the pizza shows up.
Excellent.
And Tommy, if you want, you can pop back in. Or you can
Tommy,
even say
Tommy
you're like,
is the pizza man.
Dun dun dun. I got an extra large sausage here. Why the fuck
Oh
would
my
you
God.
order that?
Shady.
so yeah, or you could have been you could have written you want.
The pizza one is funnier though. Like Tommy popped out of the bushes and scared the pizza man.
That's
Oh,
the
no.
that is the law of the land. Survival of the fittest. Tommy came out hissing like a possum.
So, like, are any of these even a little, like, good, Fred?
I'm gonna tell you this. Some people in Fangoria argued this was one of the best werewolf movies. They rated it above An American Werewolf in London and The Wolfman, and I violently disagree. I violently disagree. This movie is terrible. I do not like it, and the sequels are worse.
Gotcha. That does not bode well.
We're going on a journey, and we're going to be changed people by the time we're over.
So,
Quite
Hanzo
possibly not
and-
for the better, but then maybe like the metal that goes into the forge, we will come out purified, stronger.
Crucible, one could say.
Just as a little segue. I assume
Hanzo and Tommy
you
show
were
up.
bringing us in.
Yeah, there's a knock, and when you answer it, it's Tommy with stack of pizzas and Hanzo with the treats. Did you stop at Little Japan?
Yes.
Oh.
Is if it probably wouldn't be would be quick enough to or detour there to get to Fred's from wherever the police station is. Again, I need to make a map. I have like most of it in my head. It's actually forcing myself to make a map.
You could always start with a little drawing and then go from there.
Yeah.
Just figure out where the big things are that need to,
Yeah, I
definitely be
definitely need to find out where like the Proposed Industries is, the museum that Fred works at, the the preserve, that kind of stuff, and now the scrapyard. Anyways, continue. You both show up at the party.
there. Mm-hmm.
Tommy, for some reason, is the pizza guy. Not in uniform, but he's there with the pizzas for everybody.
Oh,
Has the hat.
Tommy, how did you get those?
He gave them to me.
Did you pay him?
Hey.
In knife wounds.
Tommy, did you stab the pizza man?
What a horrible thing to assume!
What the hell?
There were no screams of pain as I approached.
All right, then we're good.
Or he's dead.
Well, that just means Tommy's stealthy. Which, has been proven with how he just pops out of places.
Never underestimate the hobo.
That is a good point, actually.
Never underestimate the hobo.
Would it be accurate to say Tommy has learned how to get pizza the same way that the TMNT have learned?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
Considering he
Pops
lives
out
in the
sewers.
sewer,
Good.
Master
Hey,
Splinter taught you well, but you are not a turtle yet.
I can still
Well,
see in the dark.
Tommy's gonna become a were-turtle. Tommy's gonna become a were-turtle. Fuck it now.
Man.
Oh, God.
No one's
Can
gonna
you
get
imagine
werewolfism.
Can you imagine the bite force of a were-turtle? A were-snapping turtle?
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking enormous.
Fucking sheet metal just sheared through.
What's the, not Toka, Razor?
Razor, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're
Anyways.
right, Toka. Razar is the wolf.
I don't actually know
That's
anything
it, right.
about TMNT.
God,
I
you're
was
such a
I'm a
thinking
fake
of
Turtles
Ninja
fan.
Turtles, the movie version. There is a snapping turtle one. I cannot remember his name though.
Yeah, it's Taka.
No, I mean
I like the turtles.
there's like a fifth Ninja Turtle who
Oh, Slash.
was a snapping turtle. Slash, that's it. Anyways,
Yeah, in the movie, it's Taka. That is the snapping turtle from the third movie.
yeah.
Second.
And then in one of the Ninja Turtles shows, they turn them into basically Space Chimera.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyways, not here to talk about Ninja Turtles, even though mutated animal
Yeah,
in this arc.
yeah.
It's not
Well, just this whole game was mutated
irrelevant.
animals.
Just to reiterate it, Anzo specifically says, "I brought confections."
Oh, that's thanks, Enzo.
As he finds a place to sit down, it's like, you have. It's like. It's like, you've given me high expectations for these films, Mr. Klutzman.
You mean he's giving me low expectations?
Yes. He is setting me up to believe that these will be awful pieces of cinema.
He's pretty adamant about that.
Yes, so my expectations are high. They better be horrendous.
Hanzo's used to horrible bad movies from Japan. That's a high expectation, or high bar.
This is going to be a different kind of bad. Alright, until you watch the first two Howling movies. And they are awful.
Are they as bad as you're making it out to be, TT?
Personally, I feel so, although that's a minority opinion amongst the horror community. A lot of people think the Howling movies are not just good werewolf movies, but the best werewolf movies. There's a lot of people who list at least the first Howling as the best werewolf movie of all time. And I think they're fucking insane. But that's not what this campaign is about. That is, however, what this running gag is about.
Yeah, I remember my uncle really liked the Howling. I didn't watch them until after he had passed away. So you had to be a downer there. Whoops. Anyways, so yeah, you have a nice night of varying enjoyment. But yeah, you've got pizza, you got snacks from Little Japan. Hanzo, if you wanted to reveal what you learned from Dr. Guerrera, possibly between movies. But
that may be wise. You'll have to forgive my delay. I made a stop to the good doctor over in forensics.
What'd you find?
Well, it appears the doctor was given a cloned limb instead of Micah's proper limb.
Huh.
Which only strengthens my belief that our killer is somehow connected to Pluripotent.
Yeah, that's... Why would they give him a clone limb?
Because Mike didn't throw away his bone gun. He had one installed.
Wait. What do you mean, installed?
into his own anatomy.
It was what?
It was a part of his anatomy.
Oh,
Oh, that's fucked up.
that's yeah. How does that work?
Cutting edge technology. I don't know what pluripotent science is truly capable of. I just mind the door.
Hmm.
I don't got nothing else.
That. So they're clearly hiding something. Like that's. I feel like that goes without saying.
Correct.
But
It
a
is a
corpse
four.
is a corpse.
Mm.
What would cloning the arm? I guess I could hide a lot.
Like they gave him a cloned arm that would not contain the bone gun. They don't want that to become public information.
Hmm. And how did your doc know about it?
Because he analyzed the bodies of the police officers who were escorting Dr. Micah. They died before he did.
Oh, fuck.
They were shot and stabbed from the back seat.
Correct.
Correct. Voice from the ceiling.
Thanks, God. I always appreciate you.
So, Fred,
Yeah?
I think that, I don't know if Fred had been mulling this over, but maybe it's just something that pops into your head from just like, because I know just sometimes I'll just suddenly remember things just completely out of the blue and it'd be like, oh, why didn't I think of this before? Or remember this as you are, Fred, you work night shifts at the museum as a security, even though we take you out a lot at night. And
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, like I said, these are sitcom rules. You're
Yep.
at work when it's off screen.
Yep.
So,
Fair.
but in walking the museum, you've learned, you've at least absorbed, through osmosis, at least some of the history of pluripotent, because that's like part of the thing. And you suddenly remember that back in the 70s, the early 70s, and the guy who is responsible for most of the, for a lot of the breakthroughs for, a lot of pluripotent's big, spectacular genetic breakthroughs and research was a guy named Dr. Nevin. And he would have been the one head of pluripotent research and science in the early 70s, right around this time that, it just suddenly came to you that, when Mikhail went to pluripotent and disappeared, he would have been the head honcho.
What's the guy's name again?
Dr. Nevin. Nevin.
Ever thought about looking into Dr. Nevin?
Who's that?
Head of pluripotent in the 70s.
Oh, That's a really good idea.
You're welcome. I'm full of those. Sometimes. On occasion.
You got a knack for him, actually, Fred.
Oh, thank you. Oh, this fucking movie!
God. Yeah.
By this
You
point,
did.
it's Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf.
Yep.
Such
And
a
just
funny
waste
title.
Christopher Lee.
Isn't he supposed
We're
to
an
be a
hour
good
in, and
actor?
there's barely been any werewolves. Man.
Was there anything else wanted to, be brought up during this,
Um,
hangout night?
Oh, at some point, Carlos wants to track down.
We're getting close to end time, I believe.
Carlos wants to track down Winifred at some point and apologize for having to lie to the nice science lady and say vampires were a condition. He knows better.
Winifred doesn't really care. She's either too jaded or too old to give an entire fuck. She's not gonna tell you which.
Oh, well, he's not going to ask which. He's just going, hey, I know that was kind of a dick move. Sorry.
She's gonna shrug.
Plausible
you-
deniability.
are you apologizing like in front of us, or?
I'd assume it's like he got up to get a snack. When he's grabbing a snack, they're not the same snacks.
Better not be. That'd be gross.
I would be concerned if Carlos was drinking blood.
What? No, blood is perfectly healthy.
One deserves a little sip.
Yeah.
Just a little sip. Just get that sweet coppery taste flowing down your gizzard.
That sweet irony taste.
I mean, people are fucking weird. They make stew out of it, so you know. Yeah, she just kind of doesn't react
Oh, sorry.
beyond shrugging at you like, heard worse.
Yeah,
Aww.
I'm sorry though. I know you don't care, but like I care. You're a good friend. And here, I got a little something to show you. And he pulls out the little notebook and pops it up to a recipe that is going to be thylacine themed. And like, I've spent at least 4 hours trying to figure out how this is going to work. I'm going to give it to Hugo, and I want to make Olivia try it first.
Alright.
And it's going to mess with her so bad.
What?
I can't make a thylacine pancake, but like I can do this.
You really just like messing with her, don't you?
Well, it keeps her on her toes, and potentially endears us more, so she doesn't go blabbing, "Hey, Carlos is a mage," and getting the wrong person hearing that, and making me potentially having to leave town again. So
Wow, have I been that terrible of a person to you?
you're not in earshot.
Carlos, have you, like, actually sat down with her and told her why you don't want people to know?
No, maybe. I think there was at one point I mentioned the fact that, mage hunters and witch hunters exist. But like,
You should
even if I did, she probably wouldn't listen.
I'm pretty sure she would. Gee. I can't tell you why. But she would understand the need to be secretive.
Fair enough.
We just have to tell her that there's a reason for it. Beyond being a shifty old man with a bunch of fucking electronics in his backyard.
Look, I get them on sale, and it's just fun to keep them back there. I'll find a use for that Tesla coil, I swear.
You will not.
Sketchy technology. Carlos, your pager starts buzzing on your hip because I forgot that's a technology that existed. So yeah,
Oh my
Carlos would
God.
totally be the guy who would have a beeper, usually mainly for the diner.
God, I
I
hate those
pull out the
things.
page.
You just hear
Fuck. Okay, pick up the
belt.
Okay, so this is where we break a little reality. I don't know how the fuck to handle a pager, so I look at my pager.
Pagers, they were very simple. They could normally only receive. More expensive ones could transfer, like a reply. Normally, they were just alphanumeric codes that would come by, or like a short phrase.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of doctors would use them.
Yeah.
You know, or like get to OR1 or whatever. Or like police would use them, firefighters. They're actually still used. Looking up pagers recently, I learned that they're still in use today because they can actually work still when cell phone services and terrestrial telephone services go down because they're all satellite based. But you look down and it's hold on, someone with the diesel engine going by. Okay. You see it's from the diner. Or not a diner. It's a number you don't really recognize. It seems vaguely familiar, but then you do recognize it. It says, "Call Gail," and this would be the number that you call it back. If you know, once you
Okay.
get to a phone.
Okay, I gotta make a phone call. 1 second. Carlos is gonna poke his head in. Hey, Fred,
Yeah?
you got a phone?
Yeah, I do.
Is it in the kitchen or is
One
it
of
out
those.
here?
It's
the
on that
corded
it's on
wall
that end
phone in the
table, right?
kitchen,
Yeah, it's right there.
Okay, thank you.
hanging
I'm
on the
gonna
wall. It
borrow
has
it.
like one of those super long, stretchy cords that you can just pull it outside.
Strangle a man with.
I mean, people have been.
That wouldn't surprise me. So Carlos is gonna go over there and dial the number.
And it rings just like once before it picks up, and you hear Gil kind of frantically, and she goes, Carlos?
Yes, Carlos. Sorry, I'm at Fred's. What's up?
Oh, okay. So correct a bit more information on the special project,
Uh-huh.
and there's a name here that the
Is it safe?
person that,
Is it safe to say over the phone?
I mean, it's kind of esoteric. The doctor, she was in contact with fucking Dr. Connor Nevin. Fucking Mr. Simulacra himself. What did you get me into? And I think that's where we're going to cut off for the night.
What?
Oh, alright.